Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pirates. Taking advantage of the Empress, youth, she tricked her into singing about Conquest. Chapter 41. Jabra's back was soaked with cold sweat. How would he know? Who is he? How can he be so calm even though he knows my details? What does he rely on? Although Jabra is not very smart, he knows that the other party is not afraid of CP9, so he said such words. Jabra secretly wiped a cold sweat. Haha, exposed. Jabra suppressed the fear in his heart and said fiercely. Since you know that I am a member of CP9, then, you should know very well what will happen if you are hunted down by those of us who use dark means to seek justice. Oh, I want to see what the outcome is. Lin Yu's sarcastic tone completely angered Jabra. I hope you can still say this so disgustingly after all your bones are broken. Jabra jumps up. Finger gun. 10 fingers to seize. Jabra shouted loudly. You know, CP9 is a strong master of the 6th form of Grandmaster Marine. Jabra, on the other hand, is the 3rd strongest player in CP9, so he has already mastered the 6 Marine styles, and he has even developed several different versions. Lin Yu looked at Jabra, who was approaching in a menacing manner, but there was no trace of worry on his face. He didn't even use hockey. In fact, CP9 is not very strong. Except for Rob Lucci, no one can compare with Lin Yu, especially since most of CP9's abilities are based on physical skills. If it were a competition of physical skills, Rob Lucci might be able to fight Lin Yu, but the others might not be Lin Yu's opponents. Lin Yu clenched his fist and punched Jabra's 5 fingers. Jabra's eyes flashed with a ruthless look, and there was a hint of a sinister smile on the corner of his mouth. He could already imagine his own 5 fingers crushing Lin Yu's fist. Blood is really exciting. Jabra licked his tongue, wishing he could drink Lin Yu's blood right now. When the fists and fingers collided, the scream that Jabra expected did not come, but a heartbreaking pain. Ouch! Jabra howled like a wounded wild wolf, turning several somersaults in midair. Moonwalk. Jabra is very fast and uses moonwalk to get back to the boat. There is a vast ocean in all directions. If Jabra, a strong man with a devil fruit, is submerged in the vast ocean, it will definitely be a dead end. Jabra fell onto the boat, one hand resting on the deck, and the other hand hanging down weakly. He was still frightened. If he hadn't stopped his hand quickly just now, he might have shattered his entire arm bone. The number 1 villain in South Blue, he truly deserves his reputation. Jabra laughed. He stood up slowly, and at the same time he began to grow taller and larger. Gray-white hairs grew out of his body, and the muscles on his head began to squirm. In the blink of an eye, he turned into an orc more than 3 meters tall. Even the injured finger was temporarily suppressed by this change. Dog fruit, werewolf form. Looking at him, Lin Yu couldn't help but think of the man with the wolf fruit he met at Whiskey Peak. Although they are the same kind of fruit, it is obvious that Jabra's development of the power of the fruit is much more powerful. Judging from the size, Jabra's strength and agility are several times stronger than before. I underestimated you, but you have no chance. At this moment, Jabra suddenly moved. Iron Block Chongbu Wolf. Jabra yelled. The most powerful move developed by Jabra is the Iron Block, which he has developed to an extreme extent. Under normal circumstances, the Iron Block cannot be moved when cast. And this Jabra can actually launch an attack even with the use of iron. 2 iron fists smashed towards Lin Yu. What seemed like an ordinary punch actually condensed all the strength of his body to activate the Iron Block, and quickly punched it out with a hard fist similar to Iron Block Gang. Go to hell, Jabra roared. This is also one of his trump cards. Concentrating all the strength of his body into one punch can not only severely injure the enemy, but also knock him away. Armed color, Lin Yu said lightly, and a smile appeared on his face. Lin Yu's fist became dark and shiny at this moment. Facing this punch, Lin Yu also tried his best. How dare you take my attack? Don't underestimate me, Jabra yelled and tried his best. Boom, fight with both fists. Whoosh, Jabra didn't see clearly how far Lin Yu flew. In fact, even he himself didn't fly very far. But soon, he found that he had no feeling at all in his hands. Look down. His arms were bloody, and gray-white bones pierced the skin and were exposed from inside. The next moment, severe pain struck. Jabra almost rolled his eyes in pain. But at this moment, Lin Yu's other fist had already smashed down. Boom, puff, a punch hit Jabra on the chin, blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth, and his wolf mouth was smashed to pieces. Blood mixed with broken meat and bones spurted out from his mouth. Jabra lost consciousness in midair and fell into the sea. Do you want to get this guy out of the water? Chow Eli Bani asked. No need, it's just a little guy, Lin Yu said. Only then did Chow Eli realize that Lin Yu's mouth was still smiling. I guess CP9 will send someone here soon. Bonnie's mouth twitched. He kept saying he was afraid of trouble. Are you kidding me? Do you look like someone who is afraid of trouble? I think you think the trouble is not big enough. Jabra, the third strongest player in CP9, was just sunk in the sea without even a splash. Now, the butterfly effect has gradually expanded, and Lin Yu has made great changes to the plot in the original work. When the Straw Hat Pirates arrive in the Water City, CP9 will not be the one to greet them. As for whether it is a stronger guy or a weaker guy, no one can tell. Anyway, the Atom branch of the treasure tree that built the Wanli Sunshine must have been taken away by Lin Yu. Lin Yu is not good at reasoning. It's not that he doesn't have the brain, but it's simply not necessary. To be honest, he prefers to use his fists rather than his brain. In the face of absolute strength, all conspiracies and tricks will be in vain. Reasoning and conspiracy are just used on weak people who are equally powerful. Now, with the help of Jabra, Lin Yu's attributes have also been greatly improved. In terms of overall strength, Jabra is weaker than Ghost Spider, but not much different. After defeating Jabra, Lin Yu's attributes have been comprehensively improved, with strength increased by 1023 points, agility increased by 2,326 points, endurance points increased by 629 points, and physical fitness increased by 1217 points. As a result, Lin Yu's physical strength almost improved to another level. Defeating a Jabra will give you much more attribute bonuses than defeating pirates in the entire Water City port. This is probably how the system forces Lin Yu to challenge the strong. Lin Yu touched his chin and thought to himself, how nice it would be if a few giants appeared in front of him. Although his agility and endurance are not very high, his strength is unquestionable. However, focusing too much on one aspect is not conducive to the improvement of strength. After all, the strength of one's own strength depends on its own shortcomings. At least for now, it seems that Lin Yu's physical fitness is still on the low side. His agility has exceeded 5,000 points, and his endurance has not even reached 4,000 points. It seems like this training can't stop. He sighed in his heart. Because of the energy provided by the two previous Devil Fruit users as a basis, Lin Yu does not need to store more energy for the time being. What Lin Yu needs now is the existing combat power, so he chose 1,000 points of free attributes, points bonus. Of course, he also did this to make his attributes more balanced. At present, Lin Yu's strongest attribute is agility, but endurance is the weakest, so he directly added 700 points to endurance, increasing the endurance from 3,936.6 to 4,636.6, and then added 300 points to strength. Strength increased from 4,499.3 to 4,799.3, so Lin Yu's attributes became Host, Lin Yu. Strength LV3 4,799.3. Agility LV3 5,649.1. Endurance LV3 4,636.6. Physique LV3 4,620.7. Free attribute points 1,000. Skill, fighting skill LV3 21.8%. Shaving LV3 20.1%. Iron LV2 94%. Lan Jiao LV3 21.4%. Moonwalk LV3 21.9%. Paper painting LV2 94%. Fingergun LV2 97.2%. Armed color domineering LV2 99.3%. Informed and domineering LV2 85.9%. Although agility is far ahead, the other three attributes have no major flaws. At the same time, his fighting skills, shaving, langui, and moonwalk have all reached level 3. After defeating Jabra, Lin Yu's strength has been greatly improved. Even Chow Elibani has an illusion. If you look carefully, you will find that Lin Yu's body is like a giant beast from the wild, and the aura exuded by Lin Yu's body is like a demon from another world. This is the powerful and terrifying thing about the physical body. It is completely its own power without any flaws. Lin Yu clenched his fists and felt a huge force surging in his body. This is an instinctive power, not the power of devil fruit, but a power of flesh and blood. Defeating Jabra is a big gain for Lin Yu, not to mention, no one knows how many powerful beings there are in this sea area. For Lin Yu, this great sea route is a place where he can hunt unscrupulously. There is only one thing he has to do, and that is to hunt to his heart's content in this sea area, defeat the strong ones, and improve his strength. When he defeats everyone, then he is the strongest. He could expect that a bright road was opening in front of Lin Yu. Akainu, just wait, I will let you die without a burial place before long. Lin Yu rubbed the huge scar on his chest. After leaving the auction house, he passed through half of the city of Water City and arrived at Franky's dismantling house. This is where the French family lives and where the ship disintegrated. In the original work, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper, in order to avenge Usopp and regain the stolen money, fought a battle with Franky's house and destroyed it. But Lin Yu knew that Franky was not only a gang boss and a dismantler, but also the apprentice of the legendary shipbuilder Tom. Franky had the blueprints of ancient weapons in his hands, which were the blueprints CP9 and the others were looking for. Just because Franky had a bad relationship with Bingshan, CP9 did not think that the drawing would be with Franky. After all, on the surface, Bingshan is Tom's real disciple. Franky's dismantling house is here. Franky's dismantling house is located on the seaside. There is a small dock here dedicated to dismantling ships. This place is very close to the backstreets of Shueijadu. When Lin Yu arrived, it was already evening. A huge light bulb hung on the door of Franky's house, illuminating the entire dismantled house. A slender man stood at the door. Hey, that guy is you. What are you looking at? When he saw Lin Yu standing at the door, he shouted loudly. I came here for Franky. Lin Yu said. Everyone wants to see our boss. Do you think this is a zoo? Who are you? Lin Yu laughed loudly. Go and tell him that I'm here to see Carter Frame. He and I are old acquaintances. Don't worry, if you tell him the exact words, he will meet me naturally. This tall and thin man is Franky's cope. He glanced at Lin Yu doubtfully and went to report it. At this time, in the center of Franky's house, the Square Sisters were dancing gracefully, while others were dancing disco, drinking wine, pumping their fists, and the laughter could be clearly heard throughout a 10-meter radius. It can be seen that fortunately this place is just a dump of scrap ships and no one lives there, so no one complained about Franky disturbing the residents here. Cop quickly walked up to a tall man wearing an open floral shirt, with blue hair tied into a ponytail, a golden necklace hanging around his neck, and only a pair of red underwear. Brother Franky, someone came to see you, saying that he had a chance encounter with Carter Flam and was an old acquaintance. Cop walked in swaggering and said loudly. Hearing this, Franky stood up suddenly. Franky is one of Tom's disciples. He likes to build all kinds of weird battleships and names them Battle Franky XX. However, when his battleship is framed by the world government and the injured one is his teacher, he vowed never to build a warship again because he could not accept a warship that would harm teacher Tom. When Tom was taken away by the sea train, he blocked the way of the sea train with his body, and he was seriously injured. After surviving, he found an abandoned cabin and used the materials inside to transform himself into a cyborg. 4 years later, he returned to the 7 capitals of water. Bingshan gave him a blueprint of Pluton and asked him to escape. But he didn't want to leave, so he gave himself a false name, Franky, and led a group of men to open a ship dismantling house. Therefore, the secret of his real name, Carter Frame, cannot be revealed under any circumstances. Who is this? A pirate, or a marine? Franky said, jumping up. But he quickly regained his composure. Although Franky has a bold personality and likes to dance, he is not stupid. On the contrary, he is very smart. After calming down, he can even be said to be the advisor of the Straw Hat Pirates. If it were a force like Marine or world government, they would definitely not come to him so blatantly. Instead, they would arrest him directly and send him to Impel Down City Prison. Franky adjusted the goggles on his forehead and said, "Let them come in." In Franky's house, Lin Yu and Chow Elibani walked into the house. At a glance, Franky was standing there with his arms folded. This guy looks really special, and he only wears a pair of underwear. Chow Elibani leaned into Lin Yu's ear and said, "This guy doesn't even have any pants on. Is this guy sick?" Although his voice was very small, Franky was an artificial human after all, and his hearing power was far superior to that of ordinary people. "Hey, did that woman just say that I was a genius?" Franky suddenly laughed. "The first time you met me, you praised me like this. You are so amazing. Super." At this moment, Franky suddenly stood up, raised his hands, and shouted loudly. The two Diamond Head sisters and several of Franky's men immediately agreed. Lin Yu gently held his forehead. Although Franky is a freak, Lin Yu still can't accept the scene in front of him. For a big man to do such an action is simply perverted. But Franky quickly came to his senses. The man in front of him knew his real name. This was a huge threat to Franky. Once his real name was leaked, the world government would know him immediately. His real name will be easy to guess when the time comes, and he has Pluton's drawings on him. Lin Yu's dress is somewhat similar to Franky's. Lin Yu wore a red short-sleeved shirt on his upper body and a pair of shorts on his lower body, exposing his chest, which fully highlighted his strong body. "Hey, that pervert with no clothes. Although you are dressed very tastefully, you still have to tell me why you are here." Franky pointed at Lin Yu and said. Puff. Lin Yu almost spit out a mouthful of water. "Am I a pervert?" Lin Yu had a black line on his face. It was obvious that someone wearing only a pair of underwear was a pervert. "Okay. This is a pair of fighting shorts. What the hell? Franky, this is what I call you for the time being. Maybe we can talk in private." Lin Yu shook his head. He doubted whether this nondescript guy was a real master shipwright, but since there was such a description in the original work, Lin Yu could only believe it for the time being. Franky thought about it, and his identity really couldn't be exposed, so he didn't say anything more. "Let's go." After speaking, Franky turned around and came to another small room in Franky's house. "Bonnie, just wait for me here." Lin Yu turned around and said something to Chow Elibani. Bonnie nodded, and Lin Yu turned around and followed Franky inside. After the door closed, Franky looked at Lin Yu with a hint of coldness. "Who the hell are you? Should I call you Carter Frame, or Franky?" Lin Yu didn't answer the question, and went straight to a chair and sat down. "Okay, I don't mean any harm, and don't keep trying to take action against me. If I wanted to take advantage of you, I wouldn't come here and say these things to you, right, Fram?" Quote. Franky nodded and sat across from Lin Yu. "I am Lin Yu, the leader of the Wonquan pirates." "So you are Lin Yu." Franky had naturally heard that a massacre occurred at the pirate port located in the back street. This young man, who looks only 17 or 18 years old, can actually do this. Franky was sweating from behind. This was a ruthless character who had single-handedly killed thousands of pirates. Moreover, he had killed all Marine vice admirals and sunk 4 large warships. In fact, he could just imagine. "How did you recognize me?" Franky narrowed his eyes. "CP9. Have you heard of CP9? Lin Yu never makes a draft when he lies. Anyway, he can't just say that he has read the original work." "CP9. That's right, it's CP9, an intelligence agency trained by the world government. It once took action against me. In addition, there are also many CP9 people lurking in your senior brother Bingshan's shipyard. Their target is probably the Pluton in you. Design drawings. I'm afraid this is also your goal, right?" Franky calmed down after hearing the truth. He knew very well that the world government was determined to get Pluton's blueprints, so it was not surprising that there were spies in the Water City. He only felt there was a problem if there were none. "CP9 has found the connection between you and Bingshan. They have been lurking in the Carrera group for so long but found nothing. I'm worried that CP9 will take action against you." Lin Yu stood up, approached Franky, and said calmly, he said, "Do you know how strong CP9 is? Anyway, you are no match for them. Even 10 of you can't beat them. These people are extremely ruthless and will do anything to achieve their goals, even if you escape. I'm afraid it will also affect your men. CP9 is nothing, come and hit some lousy." Franky raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully. No, 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 don't say too much. In short, you can't beat them. Lin Yu was calm and composed. Jabra tried to test it, but was sunk into the sea by Lin Yu. People from CP9 are likely to take action in advance. They started preparing to deal with Iceberg Ace Baku very early, but in the original work, they were fully prepared, but they remained hidden until the arrival of the Straw Hat Pirates before they launched an attack. But now, because Lin Yu's appearance has disrupted their plans, CP9 has to respond. I think CP9 is ready to deal with Ace Baku. Lin Yu was right. There was no news at all from Jabra, and Lucci couldn't contact him, which forced Luochi to make the worst plan. In this case, it is very likely that one's identity will be exposed. But for people like them, the mission is the top priority. This night, inside the city hall of the Water City. Just as Mayor Bingshan was about to leave, a door suddenly appeared in the air. Mayor Bingshan, don't leave in a hurry. Bruno, Rob Lucci, Kaku and others walked out of Bruno's door. Lucci, what do you want to do? Bingshan still knows Lucci very well. This employee has been in his company for more than 5 years. Mayor Bingshan, we are members of the world government. I think you should be very clear about our purpose. Rob Lucci said in a deep voice. Bingshan said with a dark face, what are you two talking about? I have to get off work now. You are from the world government. I also work for the government. I am the mayor of the Water City. Hey, Mayor Bingshan, if you really want to serve the government, then hand over Pluton's design drawings. What design drawings? I don't have any design drawings. Bingshan's face became even more ugly. Haha, Mayor Bingshan, this is not your decision. After Lucci finished speaking, Bruno grabbed Bingshan's shoulders and lifted him up. The iceberg struggled in agony. Hurry up, Mayor Bingshan, if you don't tell me, you're dead. You can't risk your life just for a blueprint. Bruno said viciously. As he exerted force with his hands, a crackling sound was heard. Click, click, this is the sound of bones breaking. But even so, Bingshan still bit his lip. It seems, he refuses to say anything even to the death. Bruno sighed helplessly. Since you don't have this design, it should be in the hands of your junior brother. Rob Lucci glanced at Bingshan and said slowly. You think, should I call him Franky? Or should I call him Carter Flam? Hearing this, Bingshan's expression changed drastically. In addition to Jabra, who was killed by Lin Yu, there are 3 CP9 members hidden in Carrera Company. In addition, Bruno opened a tavern in the water capital, and there are 2 people who were just transferred not long ago, Shang with Shitori and Otonashi Owl. It can be said that all members of CP9 are on the move. Looking at Bingshan's expression after hearing these 2 words, Lucci knew that his guess was correct. It seems that my guess is right. Franky has Pluton's design on him. Rob Lucci stood up and took out a phone bug. Bulu bulu. Soon, someone picked up the call on the other end of the phone. Hey, Lucci. A strange voice came from the other end of the phone. It sounded like a man imitating a woman. It should be all right, Kaori, you and Otonashi go catch Franky now. Yo yo ye, no problem, Lucci. The voice on the other end of the phone stopped abruptly. There was despair in Bingshan's eyes, but he was helpless. What's the meaning? At the same time, in Franky's house, Franky's face became ugly. If he hadn't known that he couldn't beat the opponent, Franky would have taken action long ago. It's very simple. Let's make a deal. I will help you defeat CP9 and solve your problems. As for what you have to do, is to help me build a ship. I have brought all the materials. Lin Yu said slowly. What? I swore I would never build a ship again. Franky said indignantly. Franky, this is just a business, a transaction. You are doing it for your senior brother Bingshan, and I am doing it for my ship. This is only fair. You have lost a master. Is it possible that you still miss your senior brother? Are you following in his footsteps? Hey, don't look down on people. I'm Franky, I'm a reformer. What's CP9? I'll kill them if they dare to come. Franky touched his iron nose and pressed it down. Suddenly, his hair exploded. Super. After doing all this, Franky posed and said confidently, how about it, boy, have you seen what I look like? Isn't it awesome? Super awesome. Super. At this time, Lin Yu ignored Franky's exploding hair and looked up. Hey, Afro, They are coming, are you ready? Who? CP9. Lin Yu looked in the other direction. Yo yo ye. Exposed. At this moment, a burly man walked out of the darkness. He had floor-length white hair, and his face was covered with thick makeup. He used black paint to outline a special pattern that looked just like a theater actor. In fact, he is an actor. At this moment, another figure walked out of the darkness. Its round body and round head looked very similar to that of an owl. His legs are short, his hair is light green, and he has a beard on his chin. The weirdest thing is that his mouth is actually equipped with a zipper. It turns out his name is Carter Flam, and he turns out to be Bingshan's junior brother. Scumbag. I just found out today. This man is one of the members of CP9, Otonashi Owl. It's not because you can't keep secrets at all, Yo-Yo. What, are you doubting my ability? Did you capture Ace Bagu? Franky took a step forward with an angry look on his face. Scumbag, you are angry. It seems that the relationship between them is very deep, and it is not as bad as it seems on the surface. But at this moment, the lion suddenly fell to his knees. Ah, senior brother, we have deep feelings. Do you know what choice you will make after your senior brother is in danger? It's really exciting. It makes me think of my mother. If you might even see him there. The lion was afraid of taking it and started to perform, but his performance was very exaggerated. As he spoke, he had already pulled out the dagger. I want to commit suicide. The dagger was about to pierce into his abdomen. Iron. Al, I won't die. I can't die at all. I can't die at all. It's really difficult to handle. Great performance, don't do it next time, you scumbag. On the other side, Otonashi Owl said. At this time, he looked at Lin Yu and said, Lin Yu, the captain of the Wonkwon pirates, I won't tell you. From the day you came to the water capital, we have been eyeing you. You are too unstable, if necessary, we will definitely kill you together, scumbag. Lin Yu shrugged and said, didn't you still say that? This CP9 person is really an interesting guy. This kind of person will not be tight-lipped. Even if a zipper is installed, he can reveal everything with just one mouth. The secrets are revealed. I accidentally let it slip, you scumbag. Otonashi Owl quickly closed his mouth. Hey, Franky, what are you thinking? Lin Yu looked indifferent at the moment. I'll help you fight these people away, rescue your senior brother, you help me build the ship, look at this deal, is it a good deal? I declare again that this is a deal that is completely beneficial to you. Lin Yu said seriously. It's just the two of them, I'm enough. Franky really would not give up until he reached the Yellow River. Lin Yu sat down. Since Franky didn't allow him to do anything, let him suffer a little first. Are you the nagging CP9 people? Ha, no matter who you are, the mayor dares to kidnap you, so just accept the sanction. Franky clenched his fists. Strong right hand. Franky punched out, and his fist immediately left his body and hit the head of the nearest male lion. Oh my junior brother stood up and resisted. I thought of that nasty big devil. The male lion, Wei Jia, ignored Franky at all. Even before Franky's fist hit him, his hand didn't move. Then Franky's iron fist directly hit its face, and it fell directly into it. And then, no more sound. Tisk, tisk, I thought you were so capable. Seeing that his punch actually made a dent in the opponent's head, Franky felt that the opponent must be dead. Franky, that's not necessarily the case. Lin Yu said with a smile. The lion is a grandmaster of life-returning physical skills. He can control every muscle and every bone in his body. Therefore, Franky's punch that shattered the head of the lion Wakey was all fake. Sure enough, when Franky retracted his fist, he found that the head he had smashed flat was slowly returning to normal. Yo yo yo, life has returned. The lion's fear gradually recovered. This guy, could he be a monster? Franky was dumbfounded. This was beyond his knowledge. Shave, the lion fear shouted loudly. With a swipe, the lion disappeared from Franky's eyes. Point the gun, the lion is coming again. Click. Franky was hit in the shoulder by a finger, and his shoulder was directly penetrated. Even if he is a modified person, he will still bleed. This is no joke. With a bang, Franky was easily knocked to the ground by the opponent. Franky, you don't seem to be able to defeat them. Lin Yu stood up and said. How about it? Have you ever thought about making a deal with me? Franky gritted his teeth and swore that he would never build another ship in his life, but judging from the blow just now, he knew that he was no match for CP9. If Franky was willing to sacrifice his life just for himself, he would not agree to it. But he still has a group of subordinates from Fran's house, as well as his senior brother, Bingshan Ace Bagu. This is the last thought of his senior sect. Hey, little guy. Stop bragging. The lion looked at Lin Yu. Now that you know that we are CP9, then don't even think about leaving here alive and enjoy the fresh air of this world. If you can go there, can you tell my mother a message for me? This way I will make it less painful for you to leave, otherwise I will make you slowly experience the fear of death. The lion fear began to show off his acting skills again. There was a smile on Lin Yu's lips. I just gave away a puppy. I didn't expect the people in CP9 to be dishonest. Puppy, did you defeat Jabra, scumbag? On the other side, Otonashi's owl's voice sounded. How is it possible? Jabra's power value is as high as 2180. Hey, look at this kid, how much power he has. The lion was frightened and startled. They are very arrogant. In the eyes of CP9, Lin Yu is just a newcomer from South Blue. 4,800 Dao power. Scumbag, his Dao power value is higher than Lucci's. When Otonashi Owl saw this number, he almost jumped up in fright. No. Impossible. How could this be? How could he be more powerful than Lucci? The lion video couldn't accept this fact. He is more powerful than Lucci before he transformed, but if Lucci transforms, he is no match at all. Scumbag. Otonashi's owl opened his mouth and said nothing. Hearing his words, the lion was slightly relieved, but even so, they knew very well that the man in front of them was definitely not something they could deal with. Yo, get out. The lion turned around and wanted to use Moonwalk to escape. Isn't it too late to escape now? As soon as he turned around, Lin Yu suddenly appeared in front of him. Boom. Just a simple punch. The iron block and the return of life that the lion was afraid of had no effect, and he was directly knocked to the ground by Lin Yu's punch. No, you scumbag. On the other side, Otonashi Owl took out a phone bug at this time and was about to start calling for support. Before he could say anything, Lin Yu punched him in the head and passed out. Lin Yu took the phone bug from his hand. Otonashi, are things done? Rob Lucci's voice came from the other end of the phone. The voice sounded familiar to Franky. The foreman of Dockyard Number 1, the man with the parrot on his shoulder, Rob Lucci, turned out to be a spy sent by the government. Knowing this information, Franky was stunned. Ah! A shrill scream came from the phone bug. Franky lost his voice and said, Ace Bagu. Lin Yu pressed the phone button, and then looked at Franky aside. I'll handle the CP9 matter. You build a ship for me. How do you think about this deal? Franky took a deep look at Lin Yu, and finally nodded heavily. Lin Yu showed a smile on his lips. This is also the reason why he came to the water capital to challenge CP9, not only for the attribute value, but also to let Franky build a ship for him, killing two birds with one stone. CP9 has been lurking in the water capital for several years. Lin Yu's actions aroused their suspicion, so they took early action. Lin Yu patted Franky on the shoulder and said, Franky, you did the right thing. What about the two of them? How to deal with it? Franky pointed at the two CP9 members who were knocked unconscious. Lin Yu glanced at the two of them. Compared to Jabra, these two were relatively weak. Because they did not have devil fruit abilities, each of them could only add an average of 500 basic attribute points to Lin Yu. This made Lin Yu very satisfied, and his strength increased by another 10%. What Lin Yu is not afraid of now is this kind of pure physical combat. Bonnie, you deal with them. Lin Yu walked out of the room. Chow Eli Bonnie walked in from the outside, came to the two of them, reached out and held their wrists. Then, Franky watched in stunned silence as the two people turned into two crying babies. This is the fruit power of Eli Bonnie. It's amazing. Franky's eyes lit up, and he looked at Chow Eli Bonnie with admiration in his eyes. After returning the two CP9 members who had been transformed into babies to other people in Franky's house, Lin Yu and Franky went to the city hall of the Water City and asked Chow Eli Bonnie to stay and guard the treasure tree. Adam's branch. Atori, Otonashi and the others are afraid something has happened. Rob Lucci frowned and said in a deep voice. Oh, Who did it? Kaku lowered his peaked cap. Among the people who have recently come to the Water City, there is only one person who can threaten them. Huang Quan. Lin Yu. Kaku was shocked and lost his voice. Rob Lucci stood up, patted the pigeon on his shoulder, and said, "It seems that this kid is specifically here to cause trouble for us. What should we do?" Kaku looked anxious. They had been lurking in the water capital for several years, and they were just a little bit close to succeeding. But at this time, such a change happened. It was very possible. It would make their mission a complete failure. It seems that Jabra was killed by Lin Yu. It's not easy to handle. Rob Lucci's expression became solemn. The ghost spider from Marine headquarters also died in his hands. Kaku nodded. The opponent has the strength to defeat the lieutenant general, which is enough to prove Lin Yu's strength. Rob Lucci looked out the window and said in a deep voice, "No matter what, the mission is the most important thing. All we have to do now is wait." Wait. Kaku raised his eyebrows. Yes, we don't know what Lin Yu's purpose is and which side he is on. We can only take a look first and then talk about it. Kaku nodded in agreement. At this time, if Lin Yu did not have a strong backer behind him, neither Lucci nor Kaku would believe it. Otherwise, how did Lin Yu know the information about CP9? Could it be said that there is a mole here? Rob Lucci frowned slightly. CP9 is a very secretive organization. No one knows the existence of CP9 except General Marine, but even General Marine cannot order CP9. The immediate boss of CP9 is the Five Elders, which is the world government. In a sense, they and Marine are actually on the same level. After all, they are both organizations directly under the world government. Thinking about it this way, it would be terrible if someone from other forces infiltrated the world government. Lin Yu didn't know what Luo Bu Lucci was thinking, and he didn't know that Luoqi would think so much because of his change. What Rob Lucci also didn't know was that Lin Yu actually just wanted to defeat them, absorb attributes to improve himself, and at the same time force Franky to build a ship for him. Sometimes, the truth is often very simple, but when everything is covered with a layer of fog, no one is willing to believe this simple truth. The back streets of the Water City are not far from the City Hall. Lin Yu flew into the sky in a few steps. Franky took a sip of frozen Coke and followed him. Coming. Rob Lucci raised his head and glanced, a flash of light flashing in his eyes. At this time, Lin Yu had already smashed the window, and Franky directly smashed a big hole in the wall and rushed in. "Ace Bagu!" he roared violently. Franky glanced at Bingberg and found that he was lying on the ground, covering his shoulders. "Franky!" Bingshan crossed his arms and shook his head. "Why did you come here? You shouldn't have come." "Nonsense. No matter how much I hate you, I will never leave you alone." Franky pretended to be superior. These two senior brothers have not been very harmonious for so many years. "Huang Quan Lin Yu, now that you are here, it seems that Shangxi and Yin Wuwei are in danger." Rob Lucci stood up, glared at Lin Yu, and said in a deep voice, "Those two are too weak and can't even catch one of my moves." Lin Yu shrugged and said nonchalantly. Kaku sneered behind Rob Lucci. "Lucci, this kid looks quite difficult." At this time, Lin Yu looked at the roof. Lin Yu said again, "The other two people, please come down too." Were exposed. At this time, Bruno and Khalifa both knew that it was useless to hide here, so they also jumped from the roof. The other 4 people from CP9 are also here. "It seems Jabra was killed by you too. Are you talking about that puppy? It was indeed beaten to the ground by me. However, if you go to the bottom of the sea to salvage it now, it might not be dead yet." Lin Yu showed a sinister smile at the corner of his mouth. "I haven't asked you yet, Rob. Lucci, why did you attack me? Anyone who knows who CP9 is will die." Kaku took off his baseball cap and stood side by side with Rob Lucci. Although Kaku didn't like Jabra, he also knew that Jabra's power was almost the same as his. If Jabra was easily defeated by the opponent, it would be impossible for Kaku to defeat Lin Yu. As for Rob Lucci, Kaku is not sure whether Lin Yu is stronger than Rob Lucci. Because Otonashi, who contests the power of Taoism, will never return. So far, 3 members of CP9 have fallen into Lin Yu's hands. Bruno and Khalifa also took a step forward. In their view, chivalry is simply ridiculous. They are spies sent by the world government, using dark means to carry out justice. In order to complete their mission, they will do whatever it takes. Moreover, Lin Yu's strength is already here. Even if it is a siege, he will not hesitate. They can only fight head-on. The four of them joined forces to wipe out the underworld pirates in one fell swoop. Huang Quan Lin Yu, Lucci said calmly. After escaping from General Akainu, he used revenge to destroy the South Blue Marine Base, and then defeated Lieutenant General Ghost Spider. He was the culprit of the 1,000-killing incident at Whiskey Top, and defeated thousands of bounty hunters at once. Lucci glanced at Lin Yu lightly, with an indifferent expression. That's right, that's right. As expected of CP9, my deeds have been thoroughly investigated by you. Lin Yu looked calm, but he was not afraid at all when faced with the siege of 4 CP9 members. Among these 4 people, the only one who can pose a threat to him is Rob Lucci. As for the others, I'm sorry, they're just here to give them away. I'm not interested in what you do, but I'm curious about why you want to meddle in our affairs. Rob Lucci's voice was extremely cold. Lin Yu crossed his arms and said, "It's a pity that the person you were looking for is exactly the person I need." There was dead silence. Franky and Lin Yu stood side by side, confronting the 4 people. Judging from the numbers, the 2 sides are not evenly matched, but now they are in a stalemate. Rob Lucci pulled off Carrera's work clothes, revealing a tight-fitting black windbreaker. He looked at Lin Yu indifferently. No matter how ferocious and powerful the pirates are, they cannot be opponents of the government. World government is not something you pirates can compete with. Call out. As soon as this statement came out. At this moment, Lucci took action. He is like a black lightning, showing stronger speed and stronger power than Jabra. He teleported directly in front of Lin Yu and kicked Lin Yu. Bow, Lanjiao. The power of this kick was many times stronger than that of Jabra. It struck out with huge impact. A huge slash was directed towards Lin Yu's chest and abdomen. As minions of the world government, the members of CP9 are all very powerful. They were the strongest enemies the Straw Hat Pirates encountered in the first half of the Grand Line in the original work. Especially Rob Lucci. He is the most powerful and cold-blooded killing machine in the history of CP9. He is the strongest person in CP9 on Judiciary Island in the past 800 years. Lin Yu remained motionless and did not dodge at all. It was also a direct move of Lan Ko. The 2 attacks collided with each other and made a loud noise. Boom! The feet collided together. Huge air waves spread in all directions. The window is broken. Everyone present could only raise their hands to protect their heads. Most people simply can't get involved in a battle of this level. I don't know if I can compete with the world government, but you alone are not enough to compete with me. Lin Yu looked indifferent. He didn't move from beginning to end. To be honest, Lin Yu was a little surprised by Rob Lucci's strength. This Rob Lucci is much better than Jabra. Now it seems that Rob Lucci is the strongest person in CP9, even stronger than they imagined. Lanjiao. On the other side, Kaku and others also rushed to Lin Yu at the same time and surrounded him. The 4 CP9 people began to besiege Lin Yu. Swish, swish, swish. Several CP9 members took action at the same time. This time, Lin Yu still did not retreat, but rushed forward. Seeing that his attack just now was ineffective against Lin Yu, Lucci knew that he could not defeat Lin Yu under normal conditions, so he used his ability without hesitation. His body grew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a figure much taller than Lin Yu, with bulging muscles all over his body, covered with leopard prints, and his 5 fingers turned into leopard claws. Animal system, cat fruit, leopard form. Among the many miscellaneous devil fruits, the leopard-shaped devil fruit is already considered the best in the animal family, second only to the phantom beast species and the ancient species of devil fruit. Lanjiao, Katiao. Lucci roared and jumped directly into the air. The powerful force in the leopard form completely exploded at this moment, and his feet were like knives, slashing towards Lin Yu's position. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a giant blade tens of meters long suddenly struck Lin Yu's head. This force directly split the stone building apart. Franky's eyes are splitting. Is this still something a human can do? As the saying goes, mortals suffer when gods fight. In the fight between the 2, Franky knew that he could not intervene, so he could only take advantage of this opportunity and retreat while holding the iceberg. The huge slash directly split the roof of this stone house into two. Immediately afterwards, the flattened roof collapsed and fell to the ground. Where they were standing, there was no roof. Dusty. When the smoke gradually dissipated, Lin Yu was still standing in his original position. At this moment, Lin Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest, assuming a defensive posture. When the smoke cleared, he slowly retracted his arms. Lin Yu glanced at the sky indifferently. Misstep. Lin Yu waved his hand. Because the speed of this slash is too fast, and the range is too wide, Lin Yu could only protect his vital parts, but the knife could not hurt him at all. It was like a whip hitting a nail. The location of the nail was intact, but the surrounding environment was completely destroyed. It's very lethal. Lin Yu retracted his arms. Although you are stronger than Ghost Spider, but I am stronger than you. Lin Yu said calmly. Stop talking nonsense here. In front of Lin Yu, Kaku's figure suddenly appeared. Point the gun, he shouted. Kaku flicked his finger. Lin Yu didn't even look at Kaku. He grabbed Kaku with one hand and threw Kaku directly like a sandbag. Boom! Kaku's body flew out and hit the wall hard, making a big hole in the wall and blood spurting out. Don't get any closer. Lucci raised his hand and stopped the others. Bruno, take Khalifa and Kaku and leave here first. This is not something you can handle. Rob Lucci spoke calmly. The three CP9 members looked at each other. Although they don't want to admit it, they have become a burden in this war. Door fruit, activate. Just when Bruno was about to retreat with Khalifa and Kaku. Did I ask you to leave? Lin Yu suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was above Bruno's head. Lucci's pupils shrank, and he suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yu and kicked him out. Lin Yu punched Lucci, and the armed domineering energy on his feet suddenly burst out. He kicked the door created by Bruno. Boom! Bruno's chest was kicked out by Lin Yu, leaving a big hole. At the same time, they hit each other hard with punches and kicks. Lin Yu met Lucci again. Bang! Fists and kicks intertwined. Lucci's kick brought up a gust of wind, exerting his power to the extreme, and almost all the power of the previous land kick was concentrated into one point. In terms of physical strength alone, Lucci is even better than Lin Yu. Before the transformation, Lucci's physical fitness was not as good as Lin Yu, but after the transformation, his physical fitness has improved several times. Lucci's use of the fruit's ability has reached the level of proficiency. However, Lin Yu is not only physically strong, he has also awakened two kinds of domineering energy. His fists are covered with a layer of armed color. A deafening loud noise resounded for several kilometers. Everyone on the street was shocked by this terrifying sound. Earthquake. Someone's starting a fight. This is impossible. Who on earth can actually do this? Countless people looked at this scene in horror and ran away frantically. The roar was deafening. Boom. A few seconds later. This is the move that determines the strength between Lin Yu and Lucci. Lucci's power was concentrated at one point, but he was unable to break through Lin Yu's armed and domineering punch. Lin Yu punched out, knocking Lucci straight down. Heaven! Lucci was like a meteorite, crashing to the ground. Kaku and others looked at this scene with a look of horror. This was the first time they saw Lucci defeated in a frontal battle. Lin Yu was able to knock Lucci to the ground, and he was definitely the strongest enemy CP9 has encountered so far. Ahem. Lucci did not suffer any damage, but while he was in midair, he directly activated the iron block. With his strong physique and the move iron block, his body becomes harder than steel. There is even a kind of toughness that steel does not have. Not bad, boy. Lucci jumped out and looked at Lin Yu with a sneer on his lips. For him, it is also a good thing to meet a strong enemy. Lin Yu's expression didn't change. In a flash, he came to Lucci. The man was in midair and punched out. Call out. Facing Lin Yu's fist falling from the sky, Lucci did not choose to fight head-on. Instead, he dodged and stepped back. Then, with a flick of his fingers, he directed a series of finger snaps in the direction of Lin Yu. Tiny air bullets shot out from his fingertips and shot towards Lin Yu's body. Lin Yu did not dodge in the air. Even though tiny air bullets hit his body, he was not affected at all. The air bounced off his steel-like body, unable to hurt him at all. This little trick is not enough in front of me. Lin Yu rushed to the ground and looked at Rob Lucci with a hint of indifference. Kick it out. A slash flew out and struck Rob Lucci parallel to the ground. At the same time, Lin Yu's figure disappeared in a flash. Rob Lucci avoided Lan's kick, but before he could react, Lin Yu punched him in the face. Lin Yu suddenly punched down. Rob Lucci raised his hand to block. The muscles in his waist suddenly twisted, his legs turned, and it was a sweep. At the same time, Lin Yu also raised his knees and faced him. Boom! Another head-to-head confrontation. At this moment, Rob Lucci moved. Shave. He disappeared from Lin Yu's sight. In the blink of an eye, he was behind Lin Yu. Kill. Rob Lucci punched out without hesitation. Lin Yu's mouth curved with a hint of ridicule. If he hadn't been so domineering and knowledgeable, I'm afraid he would have really fallen into trouble this time. But Rob Lucci's every move was clearly seen by him. Rob Lucci's fist smashed down hard. But Lin Yu's head was just slightly tilted. How is that possible? He escaped. Rob Lucci had a shocked look on his face. Immediately afterwards, Lin Yu hit him in the abdomen with an elbow. Rob Lucci's figure is like a rocket, soaring straight into the sky. Shave. This time, it's Lin Yu's turn to take action. In a flash, he arrived in front of Lucci. Lanjiao. Cut down. Lin Yu raised one foot and slashed it downwards. Bang. Lucci was knocked to the ground again. Lucci. That boy is so strong. The other members of CP9 couldn't help but take a breath when they saw this scene. These people have been selected by the government at all levels and trained at all levels. Their physical fitness has already far exceeded that of ordinary people, and they can be called supermen. However, this is the first time they have encountered someone who can physically suppress them. More importantly, among the group of people they were suppressed, there was also a guy named Rob Lucci. This was the strongest among them, and he was still extremely powerful. Rob Lucci's body hit the ground hard, and the surrounding building debris was also shaken up by his body, and then fell on him. The sight and sound of hockey was blocked by the remains of the ruins, and Lin Yu couldn't see clearly what was going on with Rob Lucci. But he was certain that it was almost impossible to kill Rob Lucci with an attack of this level, and the system did not have any beeps. Crackling. Sure enough, there was a sound of cracking rubble among the pile of rubble. Then it exploded, and Lucci jumped out and landed on the ground. Puff! Lucci coughed violently, a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth, and he looked very miserable. Fortunately, his physical fitness is extremely strong, coupled with the iron defense in leopard form, he was not seriously injured. Lin Yu's face was expressionless, but he was secretly frightened. Rob Lucci's physical fitness was really too strong. After Rob Lucci became a half-orc, his physical strength was simply shocking. However, after the initial shock, Lin Yu's face showed a look of surprise. The stronger Rob Lucci's physical fitness is, the greater it will help him. In that case, when he defeats Lucci, his strength will double. Lin Yu didn't bother to swallow the devil fruit. Although the devil fruit was powerful, the fruit's ability still had weaknesses. Unlike the physical body, there are only strengths and weaknesses. As long as the attributes are improved in a balanced manner, there are almost no shortcomings. But if you cultivate your physical body to the peak, at that time, no matter what kind of fruit ability it is, even Whitebeard may not be able to withstand his punch. Lucci raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth and spoke with a gloomy expression. Even I have to admit that I still underestimated you. But, if this is all your strength, then you can't be my opponent. This kind of clumsy and devoid of skills will never hurt me a second time. Lucci. When Kaku and others saw Lucci rushing out of Tushin, their faces showed a hint of joy. Lucci saw that Bruno was hesitant to speak, so he said in a deep voice, "You can't help here. Go and capture Carter Fram. You must not let him go, he has a design on him." Kaku and others were full of confidence in Lucci. After looking at each other, they were ready to catch Franky. Hey, stop gesticulating here and take care of yourself first. Lin Yu stood calmly, his voice without any emotion. After saying that, his figure flashed and disappeared. Oops, a strong sense of crisis came to my mind. Lucci instantly understood what Lin Yu meant. Before that, Lin Yu severely injured Bruno with one blow. Now, Lin Yu has definitely set his sights on other people. Lin Yu suddenly appeared in front of Kaku. Stop looking down on people, you fool. In giraffe form, Kaku activates the Niu fruit ability. Kaku suddenly turned into a humanoid giraffe. At this moment, Rob Lucci rushed in front of him. They both moved at the same time. But it only hit the afterimage left by Lin Yu. What? Kaku and Rob Lucci were both shocked. As expected, Lin Yu grabbed Khalifa. Faced with this beauty wearing stockings and glasses, Lin Yu had no sympathy for her. He grabbed Khalifa's neck and threw her to the ground. Aha! Khalifa let out a sweet cry from her mouth. Then, she lost consciousness. Lucci yelled. Kaku also drew his double swords. The two of them took action at the same time. Lin Yu jumped up, launched moonwalk, and flashed several times. He rose into the air. Lanjiao, crazy, boo-hoo-hoo. In an instant, 7 or 8 slashes fell from the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Covering Lucci and Kaku below. Just when Lucci and Kaku were putting on defensive postures at the same time, Lin Yu's figure suddenly appeared in front of Kaku. Lin Yu's fist is covered with armed domineering energy, and the black light shines. Boom! Kaku, who ranked second in CP9, was blown away by Lin Yu's punch. The huge impact caused Kaku to faint in midair and hit a house hard. Ding! You defeated Kaku, Strength plus 1504, Agility plus 1810, Endurance plus 910, Constitution plus 1399. At the same time, Lin Yu also directly clicked 1000 points of free attributes from the Devil Fruit energy obtained. For Lin Yu, nothing is more important now than improving his strength immediately. In the previous fight, he had realized that Lucci was as strong as him. Therefore, in order to avoid any accidents, Lin Yu chose 1000 free attribute points to enhance his combat effectiveness. He chose to defeat the others in CP9 first, and then challenge Lucci. As a result, Lin Yu's attributes have improved, and his physical strength has increased a lot. I will make your life worse than death. Lucci roared and rushed towards Lin Yu. Boom! Fight with both fists. What? Lucci's eyes narrowed, and he was horrified. He could clearly feel that Lin Yu's strength had actually improved a lot compared to before. The two people who were evenly matched just now he actually felt that they were slightly at a disadvantage. Lin Yu, whose strength had greatly increased, also let out a long roar. This fierce battle completely inspired his fighting spirit. Lucci's power allows Lin Yu to exert his power to his heart's content. Swish! Lin Yu stepped out of the moonwalk and rushed towards the sky. At the same time, Lan Zhao launched a slashing attack. At this time, Lucci had no intention of confronting Lin Yu head-on. He dodged to avoid the slashing blow and appeared on the right side of Lin Yu. He raised his leg and kicked it. Lin Yu had anticipated this and raised his knee to block Lucci's kick. At the same time, he punched out. Bang! Another blow. This time, Lucci can no longer compete with Lin Yu. Lin Yu punched him and knocked him away. And just when Lin Yu was about to continue attacking, Lucci cast moonwalk in midair and retreated quickly. Lucci's speed was much faster than the ghost spider Lieutenant General Lin Yu had encountered before. After all, Rob Lucci is an animal-type leopard-shaped fruit, and his physical strength far exceeds that of the ghost spider. However, although Lucci was fast, Lin Yu was still able to accurately lock his position with the blessing of Jian Wensei Haki. Responded quickly. Finger grab. Lucci appeared on Lin Yu's left side at some point and stabbed Lin Yu's chest with his 5 fingers. Call out. Lin Yu's figure suddenly dodged. He dodged Lucci's blow, and then punched out. Tisk tisk tisk. At the critical moment, Lucci barely managed to avoid Lin Yu's punch and retreated violently. But immediately after, Lin Yu punched and kicked with a raised knee. Boom! In a hurry, Lucci only had time to cross his arms and block Lin Yu's blow. But even so, he was still knocked away. Falling heavily to the ground, Lucci had no time to stand up. He rolled and narrowly avoided Lin Yu's following kick. The response is not slow. Lin Yu smiled slightly. So far in this battle, it seems that he has the upper hand. Lucci gasped for air. In addition to being shocked, I felt unbelievable. He couldn't believe that even though he used the leopard devil fruit, there were still people who were physically stronger than him. A gloomy look flashed in Lucci's eyes. In terms of strength, he was no match for Lin Yu. Their strength was no longer on the same level. Fortunately, he has a strong body, otherwise, he would have been beaten long ago. Lucci no longer hesitated. His muscles all over his body bulged, he shrank suddenly, and used the return life move. He is increasing his speed at the expense of a decrease in strength. Whoosh! Lin Yu didn't say anything more, his figure suddenly flashed, dived towards Lucci, clenched his fist with his right hand, and punched out hard. Lucci's speed is several times faster than before. After dodging Lin Yu's punch, Lin Yu kicked him sideways. In the blink of an eye, the two have fought for more than 10 rounds. Boom! Even though Lucci's speed has increased a lot, Lin Yu's understanding of the domineering power of seeing and hearing is getting deeper and deeper. The gap in strength made it impossible for Lucci to confront Lin Yu head-on. Under such circumstances, Lucci was unable to reverse his disadvantage at all. He was attacked again and again by Lin Yu, forcing him to constantly dodge. The two fought dozens of moves, and Lucci was forced to have no choice but to face off with Lin Yu and punch him head-on. There is no doubt that Lucci was knocked away again. Lin Yu kept walking and took one step forward. Followed closely. He lifted one foot, kicked down suddenly. At this critical moment, Lucci's arms blocked his vitals. Bang! Lucci was smashed into the ground again. At the same time, Lin Yu moved his legs and quickly displayed his land kick. Dozens of slashes shot out from the air towards the ground. Wherever they passed, there were endless walls and ruins, and the ground was cracked like an abyss and crisscrossed. Ah! Lucci let out a roar and left the life-returning state. Just when the blow was about to hit him, he activated the steel. At the same time, his body sank suddenly, and with the power of the earth, he withstood the blow. Then, he let out an angry roar. The arm trembles. The earth split open and jumped out. Almost as soon as he rushed out, he saw Lin Yu already standing outside the door with an indifferent expression. He raised his hand and punched out. Lucci couldn't avoid it, but he didn't panic. He clenched his fists in front of him, faced Lin Yu's punch, and hit it hard. The secret of the 6 styles, the 6 King's Spear. The secret of the 6 forms is to condense all the power into one point. There was not even any aftermath, but at that point, extremely terrifying destructive power broke out. However, just when the 6 King's Spear gathered at one point, Lin Yu's armed and domineering fist came with a bang. Lin Yu and Lucci's bodies froze at the same time. Time seems to stand still at this moment. Bang! A huge wave of air swept away in all directions. Like a tornado sweeping the ground. The soil, rocks, and houses were all shattered to pieces. A terrifying wave spread from the place where the two met. The air seemed to be torn apart and torn apart. The earth-shaking loud noise spread throughout the entire water city. Not far away, Franky was shocked when he saw this scene. He could see clearly that it was just a collision purely relying on physical strength, without the power of the devil fruit at all. How can the human body be so powerful? These two people are not monsters. As a reformer, Franky has always believed in the power of machinery and technology. But during the battle between Lin Yu and Lucci, Franky realized that the human body actually contains such huge energy. As this, the 6 King's Spear. Kaku and others, who were originally unconscious, slowly woke up at this moment. However, they have lost the ability to fight. Bruno and Khalifa were in such a miserable state that their bones were broken and they couldn't even exert any strength. Kaku's shoulders were completely broken and he couldn't even sit up. This is the first time I've seen Lucci in such a miserable state. There was a look of horror in Kaku's eyes. CP0 is superior to all CP organizations, and CP9, which is hidden in the dark, is only one level lower than CP0. Lucci is called the strongest person in CP9 in 800 years. It is easy to imagine how strong he is. What a powerful means, what a powerful trick, wonderful, so wonderful. Lin Yu flew out upside down, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He didn't panic because of the strength of his opponent. On the contrary, the stronger the opponent, the more excited he was, because he could get more benefits. This was not only the attributes after defeating, but also. This move just suits his purpose. Isn't this kind of physical technique that can maximize physical strength tailor-made for him? Boom! The aftermath spreads in all directions. A deafening loud noise suddenly erupted. Dust flew. Lin Yu flew backwards, but Lucci remained motionless, but cracks appeared on the ground under his feet. We win, we win. Kaku is so happy. But at this moment, Lin Yu, who was moving about in midair, stopped abruptly. He fell from the sky, supported the ground with one hand, and rubbed the soles of his feet against the ground to stabilize his figure. Lucci spurted out a mouthful of blood, his arms went limp, and he almost fell to the ground. Lucci, he is injured. Kaku and others looked at Lucci and murmured to themselves. He actually blocked Lucci's Six Kings spear. How could this happen? It's impossible, absolutely impossible. Seeing this, Kaku and others' pupils shrank suddenly, with a look of horror on their faces. They know very well how powerful Lucci's Six Kings spear is. In their eyes, no matter how strong Lin Yu was, he should at least be injured if he resisted Lucci's Six Kings spear. However, the fact is that Lin Yu just flew out upside down, and there is currently no visible injury. Lucci's arm softened and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. He raised his head with difficulty and looked in the direction of Lin Yu. He couldn't understand. When he first fought against Lin Yu's power wasn't that great yet. How could he suddenly become so powerful? Unexpectedly, he attacked with all his strength and was beaten to a pulp by Lin Yu in a head-to-head confrontation. What a powerful move, it forced me to use all my strength. Lin Yu stood up, with a hint of Cold War on his face. What, just now, you didn't even try your best. Lucci looked extremely ugly. He looked at the streets that had become ruins, then looked at Lin Yu and spoke in a deep voice. Yes, I'm currently studying a new move, but I have to thank you. It's because of an opponent like you that I can fully understand this move in a fierce battle. Lin Yu looked at Lucci with an indifferent expression. You are very strong. I will give you a way to survive. If you are willing to join me and become my crew, I can let you and your subordinates live. Lin Yu said. This is impossible. My mission is to eradicate you pirates who threaten the government. Lucci's voice was very calm, but Lin Yu could hear the firmness in it. People in CP9 start training from a very young age. As the conquering intelligence department, it is almost impossible for him to make CP9 rebel. Lin Yu was just testing the situation. If Lucci and others joined, he would be able to recruit a few more elites. Even if they were not large, it would be reasonable. He would not lose anything. He just asked one more question. Lin Yu's pirate group naturally needs to recruit some strong people if they want to go to the new world. However, Lucci's attitude was so determined that Lin Yu said nothing more. Ever since he met the ghost spider, he has been trying to practice the physical art of returning life. However, unlike the sixth form of marine, the practice of this technique was not smooth sailing. Lin Yu thought about it all the way to the water city, but still could not find the essence of this technique. But during the battle with Lucci, Lucci not only used life return, but also used the paper-painted martial body. He could control his body, control his hair, control his internal organs, and his spiritual power was injected into it. Among them, he made his body more compact. Even if he activated the cat fruit in leopard form, he still looked like a human. His strength became smaller, but his speed became faster. During this period of time, Lin Yu has mastered several key points in returning to life. Control every part of your body with your thoughts. Every muscle has been controlled with extreme precision. The moment he and Lucci used the Six Kings spear to fight with their fists, he finally understood it completely. Now, it's time to experiment. Returning life is just a general term, but everyone has their own way of playing. Lin Yu did not learn Lucci's paper drawing martial body, because it was just Lucci's move, and it was suitable for Lucci, not him. Based on his own perception and understanding of the return of life, Lin Yu developed a move that was completely suitable for him. He clenched his fists tightly. Return of life, boiling blood. Lin Yu gave a low drink. Just then, a voice sounded. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone saw that Lin Yu's skin had turned blood red. And those bursts of beating are the sound of heartbeat. By controlling the pulse of the heart and muscles, blood circulation throughout the body is accelerated, greatly increasing body strength. This is what Lin Yu realized from Luffy's second gear. Second gear is a unique skill of Rubber Man. After using it, Luffy's skin will become red and steamy, as if he had taken a stimulant. At first, Luffy used his feet as an air pump. After 2 years, he could use his hands as an air pump to speed up blood circulation and make his body stronger. Lin Yu is not a rubber man, but he has mastered the return of life, and his strong physical fitness allows him to withstand stronger blood shock. Lin Yu's whole body turned red, as if the blood in his body was boiling. That is to say, his physical fitness has improved to this level, and his blood vessels can withstand this level of blood pressure. It doesn't have to be like this. But, Lucci, you are an opponent worthy of admiration. It is your honor to have you witness this move. Lin Yu stood up, and his pounding heartbeat gave people the illusion of seeing an ancient ferocious beast. Chapter 51. How is this possible? Lucci looked shocked. Judging from the dangerous aura emanating from Lin Yu, Lucci knew very well that the opponent was already stronger than before and had risen to a higher level. Lin Yu clenched his fists and felt that his whole body was full of strength. As the blood boils, the activity of muscles, internal organs, facial features, and even the brain are doubled. Comprehensive improvement. The blood in the whole body is boiling. However, Lin Yu also knows that such a state cannot be used for a long time, otherwise it will consume a lot of physical energy. This is like injecting a stimulant into the body. If it is delayed for a long time, the burden on the body will be unimaginable. Even with Lin Yu's current physical fitness, this move cannot be used indefinitely. Quick victory. Lin Yu's body flashed, his whole body turned into an afterimage, and he rushed towards Lucci. Lucci's body was severely injured. Even though the Six Kings spear offset most of the damage, and his physical fitness was extremely strong, the confrontation with Lin Yu just now still caused him to be severely injured. The blow just now under this, Lucci felt that his arms were a little out of control. Lin Yu was actually much stronger than him. I have no choice. Lucci knew that even using speed to delay time would be of no use. Instead of doing this, it was better to use all his strength and use his remaining strength to fight to the death. Lucci's eyes narrowed and he exhaled a thick breath. The two fists were clenched together again. Use the return of life to forcefully suppress the injuries in the body. No more delaying time. Okay. When Lin Yu saw this, his eyes froze, his fists clenched, and all his strength was concentrated on his fists. The air is twisting. That's the Six Kings spear. How is it possible? This is too perverted. No way. This guy can't understand the secret of the Six Kings spear just by looking at him, right? Evildoer. In the distance, Kaku was stunned and exclaimed. Lucci's pupils shrank. The secret of the Six Kings spear is a top-notch physical skill that he learned after practicing the six styles to a proficient level. Can anyone really learn such advanced physical skills in just one look? Is there such a monster in the world? As for Lin Yu, after understanding life return, it is not difficult to concentrate all his power on one point. The concentrated power is a point with extremely strong penetrating power. This time, Lucci's expression was very calm. No matter what, he must make a final effort. Regardless of his injuries, he concentrated all his strength on one point. This was the strongest blow he could deliver at the moment. Even in a state of near serious injury, with the ability to return life, he could finally use all the strength of your body, and the power you burst out is no less than at your peak. Do you think you can surpass me if you master the Six Kings spear? Then I will let you experience the 60 mysteries, the greatest wheel, the Six Kings spear. Quote. Boom. Lucci's full blow collided with Lin Yu's Six Kings spear, making a deafening roar. Time seemed to have stood still. The force that exploded from this collision was stronger than any before. The air exploded, and a powerful wave of air swept out from the place where the two men met. But Lucci's strength is still no match for Lin Yu. The pure strength advantage allowed Lin Yu to win in the head-on collision. In an instant, the ground cracked like a spider web. At the same time, Lucci was sent flying backwards, smashing 3 buildings in a row, and then fell to the ground. A mouthful of blood spurted out. He could no longer maintain the leopard form and directly changed back to human appearance and passed out. Kaku and others were shocked. They saw with their own eyes that the last battle between Lucci and Lin Yu was completely defeated. How could this happen? Has Lucci really been defeated? How is this possible? Huang Quan Lin Yu. Even Lucci was defeated by him. Before the fight with Lin Yu, Kaku and others had made many judgments, including Lucci, who believed that Lucci would suffer and be at a disadvantage. After all, Lucci's mission was to kill a lieutenant general. But they all believed that as long as Lucci transformed and used all his strength, he would definitely not lose. However, it was beyond everyone's expectation. Lucci was defeated so quickly, so miserably, and completely. All this happened in the blink of an eye. And there is no room for maneuver at all. Silence, deathly silence. This is something no one at CP9 expected. Lin Yu slowly walked down from the collapsed building. The sound of stepping on the surrounding debris was like the arrival of Shinigami. All this made the three of Kaku feel chilled. At the same time, the phone in Lin Yu's pocket rang. Marine is coming. At this time, Chow Eli Bani spoke. Lin Yu suddenly raised his eyebrows. Not good, my precious tree atom. In Lin Yu's view, if the CP9 people die, they will die, and they don't care at all. Regardless of whether these people are alive or dead, as long as they are defeated by him once, they will not be able to threaten him in the future. On the contrary, what he cares more about is the atom branch of the treasure tree. This is an extremely precious piece of wood. If it is snatched away by Marine, it will not be easy to get another one. Franky, I'm leaving this to you. Lin Yu shouted to Franky. After speaking, he immediately used Moonwalk and flew to Franky's house in the back street. A huge warship is slowly heading here. The Dolphin stood on the boat and looked at the shore. Lieutenant General, it's like this. Huang Quan Lin Yu defeated many pirates during this period and bought a branch of the treasure tree atom. According to the news we got, Huang Quan Lin Yu is fighting an unknown force. Quote. An adjutant came forward to report. The organization CP9 is highly confidential within the government, and ordinary marine agents do not know the existence of Lucci and others. After sailing for nearly a week, their warship finally arrived in the water capital. The battle between the two sides caused huge damage. The city hall and surrounding buildings were all destroyed. The battle between the two strong men caused huge damage to the water capital, with losses reaching tens of millions. Jaji waved his hand while holding the saucer and said nonchalantly, I don't want to hear any of this. I just want to know what happened to Huang Quan and Lin Yu. Because the battle is too fierce, we dare not get too close, but according to the latest news, Huang Quan Lin Yu is likely to have an advantage in this battle. The adjutant handed the Dolphin a photo taken from a distance. In the picture, Lin Yu fell from the sky and slammed Lucci to the ground. The Dolphin narrowed his eyes. It turns out it's them. The Dolphin felt frightened. At his level, he has naturally heard of the organization CP9. You know, he is a candidate for a general, and his strength is not inferior to that of a general. In addition, he also knew Lucci, known as the strongest person in CP9 in 800 years. Is Lin Yu really a newcomer? It seems that this trip will not be easy. At this time, Chow Eli Bani also noticed the arrival of the warship, and immediately used her fruit power to transform into a 7 or 8-year-old little loli, and quietly left Franky's house. Bonnie is not strong in frontal combat, but her sneaking and escape abilities are outstanding. Little loli Bonnie and Lin Yu met near the dock. At this time, Lin Yu once again discovered that his ship had been sunk by Marine. Can you please stop being so immoral? Lin Yu is really going to be autistic. Although he doesn't care much about this broken ship, but think about it, since he went to sea, every time he left the ship, he was bombarded to pieces, and every time he encountered Marine, his ship was sunk. The speed of changing boats is faster than changing pants. It seems that if you want to sail on the Grand Route, you must have a strong pirate ship. Seeing Marine's actions, Lin Yu knew that this was aimed at him. I just don't know who is leading the team on this ship. What should I do? Bonnie looked solemn. Bonnie, who transformed into a little Lolita, held a lollipop in her mouth. Her expression was serious and solemn, but when she spoke, she had a childish taste. Maid, we must fight them away. I have to build a ship here. At this moment, Lin Yu's confidence reached its peak. After defeating Lucci, his physical fitness more than doubled. In addition, Lin Yu also defeated several members of CP9, which made his physical fitness nearly doubled again. Host, Lin Yu. Strength LV3 8999.4. Agility LV3 9642.3. Endurance LV3 8933.5. Physique LV3 8920.8. Free attribute points 1000. Skill Fighting skill LV3, 72%. Shaving LV3, 38.6%. Iron LV3, 32.6%. Lanjiao LV3, 47.4%. Moonwalk LV3, 41.9%. Paper painting LV3, 38.8%. Fingergun LV3, 33.4%. Armed color domineering LV3, 38.4%. Informed and domineering LV3, 37.2%. 6 King's Spear Secret 6 King's Spear LV1, 89%. Life Return Boiling Blood LV1, 93%. At this moment, Lin Yu was in a state of overwhelming confidence. Even if he meets a Kainu again, Lin Yu is confident that he can fight a Kainu and at least get a tie. Therefore, when they saw that the warship had already prepared to put down the boat and wanted to tow Baoshu Adam away. You go to the city first. Lin Yu pinched the little loli's face, causing Bonnie to roll his eyes. The next moment, Lin Yu jumped into the sky. Call out. Lanjiao. A huge slash ripple swept towards the warship. At this time, Lin Yu saw a middle-aged man wearing a cloak of justice standing on the bow of the boat. He waved his hand. A tornado emerged out of thin air. The violent cyclone rolled up all the water on the sea, forming walls of water rising into the sky. The slashing wave broke through the first water wall, followed by another water wall. After all the power of the slashing attack has been offset, the battleship is safe and sound. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes and stared at the man on the bow of the boat. Judging from this man's clothing and appearance, as well as the strength he displayed, Lin Yu knew very well that this person was probably the Lieutenant General of Marine Headquarters, the T-Dolphin who was the candidate for general. Lin Yu has never looked down upon generals. Similarly, he will not underestimate any general candidate. After all, in a sense, General Marine is currently Marine's strongest combat power. As for the general candidates, even if their strength is not as strong as the 3 major Marine generals, they are almost the same. If they cannot defeat the generals, they can still save their lives from the generals. What the T-Dolphin did just now was the ability to control the air. In other words, this Marine general candidate has a devil fruit that can control the air. This ability, if it were Logia, would probably be a terrifying air fruit. Even if it is not the fruit of Logia, among the fruits of Paramesha, it may be one of the best, and it may be almost the same as the Junjun fruit. Is it the storm fruit? Or the air fruit? Lin Yu was not sure. But he wasn't too worried. The difference between elemental system and Paramesha was very simple. It only needed to see whether a person's body had the ability to elementalize. Moreover, Lin Yu speculated that this T-Dolphin was unlikely to possess the elemental air fruit ability. Because the air fruit is definitely one of the best in this world, even higher than the 3 Marine generals, this fruit ability does not need to be developed at all to exert its extremely powerful power. If it is an air fruit, why not just offer the T-Dolphin as a general? There is nothing wrong with having one more air fruit general, right? Of course, it may also be due to factional disputes within Marine. Lin Yu didn't know much about this. The T-Dolphin slowly rose into the sky. Under Lin Yu's domineering attitude, he could clearly feel that the T-Dolphin was holding himself up by the airflow under its feet. Instead of being able to turn your body into air like the elemental system. The wind is blowing. A gust of wind blew, blowing the Marine warship quickly into the distance, away from the battlefield where the battle might take place. Lin Yu stood on the sea with a calm expression. He knew that the other party was clearing the area. T-Dolphin's eyes fell on Lin Yu, and the surprise in his eyes was undisguised. This young man is really too young. Lin Yu looks like he is 17 or 18 years old, but he can even defeat Ghost Spider and Lucci. A boundless murderous intention rose in T-Dolphin's heart. No matter how careless the T-Dolphin is on weekdays, he is still a Marine. As a Marine, no one wants to see big pirates appear one after another. Lin Yu is already so strong now, and given time, he might be able to reach the level of red hair. I didn't expect that CP9's Lucci would lose to you, Huangquan Lin Yu. The T-Dolphin took off the cigar from his mouth, then blew out a puff of smoke, and then he spoke while the smoke was lingering. It seems that Marine attaches great importance to me, and even sent a lieutenant general who is a candidate for general, T-Dolphin. Lin Yu showed a smile. T-Dolphin's face was solemn. in my opinion, this is already underestimating the enemy. Even I have to admit that we have all underestimated you. If that's the case, then I can't let you wreak havoc on this ocean, Huang Quan Lin Yu. This sea is free. No matter who you are or what you want to do, I don't need to ask you. Lin Yu smiled lightly. Eye to eye. This is a conceptual contradiction. Marine values order. As a pirate, he longs for freedom. In this world, there is no distinction between good and evil. There are bad people among Marines and good people among pirates. It's just that the positions and beliefs are different. The two looked at each other. In that case, let's use force to overcome skill and let's use our fists to speak. The Dolphin sighed. The conceptual contradiction cannot be resolved at all. He flicked his fingers. Lin Yu suddenly felt that the air around him seemed to have solidified. The pressure in the air increases instantly. Air bomb. Boom. A huge roar broke out from Lin Yu's side. That was the bursting sound of air compressed to the extreme. Lin Yu hurriedly jumped out of the sea. Pneumatic cage. Boom. Lin Yu felt as if he had bumped his head against the wall. An invisible wall formed by high air pressure enveloped Lin Yu. Burst. The Dolphin shouted loudly and flicked his finger. Bang bang bang. A more violent explosion suddenly sounded. In the distance, Bonnie and Franky were watching the battle with binoculars, and their hearts were full of worry. Lin Yu was blasted out. He turned a few somersaults in midair and landed on the shore. Boom. A huge pit appeared on the shore. The Dolphin flew into the air, just in time to see Lin Yu jump out of the pit. He was not surprised by this. If Lin Yu is so easy to deal with, then he is no match for the Lieutenant General. Lin Yu stood up from the pothole, patted the dust on his hands, with a smile on his face. Nothing happened at all. Cha Do was slightly surprised. He originally thought that Lin Yu would be at least a little injured under this sudden attack. But now, Lin Yu is unscathed, with no skin injuries at all. Manipulate the air. A smile appeared on Lin Yu's lips. It's a troublesome ability. Dolphin is very confident about this. He didn't even remove the cigar from his mouth. It should be said that it is the power of Fengfeng fruit. Dolphin said lightly. Paramesha, the wind fruit. Lin Yu's pupils shrank. This is a devil fruit on the same level as the shock fruit. You can control the wind. Control air flow. All Paramesha devil fruits related to the weather are basically combat focused and are naturally suitable for combat. Especially at sea, those who can control the wind have the upper hand. He is worthy of being a candidate for Marine General. The wind and wind fruit is an extremely powerful ability. If it can be developed to its extreme, its potential will be extremely huge. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The wind is getting stronger. Surrounding the Dolphin, the wind swept the sand on the ground and slowly circled in the air. Murderous. Lin Yu looked indifferent. He knew the purpose of the Dolphin very well. When he killed the ghost spider, he knew that Marine would not just let it go. Lin Yu originally thought that Marine would only send a few lieutenant generals over, but he didn't expect Akainu to send Dolphins directly. This is too much to think highly of him, Lin Yu. You almost wiped out Marine in the South Blue Branch. You also killed Lieutenant General Ghost Spider and killed Lucci from CP9. You are very strong, and you are growing very fast. You have grown so much. I feel scared, so, you die here today. Dolphin slowly walked towards Lin Yu. Wherever he passed, dust was flying on the ground. The words just fell. Swish swish swish. Countless invisible cyclones appeared in the air. They shot towards Lin Yu. It is a violent cyclone formed by high-density air. When the air speed reaches a certain level, even the invisible, colorless air will produce powerful penetrating power. Lin Yu's reaction to this was also very simple. Clench your fists. Armed and domineering. Bang bang bang. The iron fist blasted out and all the air arrows were shattered. At this moment, a huge tornado suddenly appeared next to Lin Yu. Even with Lin Yu's current strength, it is extremely difficult to contend with such a mighty force of nature. He took several steps back to avoid the hurricanes that appeared one after another. At the same time, beside the Dolphins, the rapidly rotating air flow picked up the gravel on the ground, and the gravel also rotated faster and faster. The Dolphin waved his hand. There were some debris mixed in the air, flying rapidly forward. At a certain speed, even a leaf can pierce steel. Not to mention these stones. What a troublesome ability, what a difficult guy. Lin Yu murmured to himself. Shave. He moves across the ground at extremely fast speeds. Getting closer to the T-Dolphin. We must not allow the other party to use their abilities unscrupulously. It's really difficult, the T-Dolphin muttered to himself. Lin Yu's speed is too fast. It is not easy for him to lock the opponent. After all, it takes time to activate his ability. The air's change from stillness to acceleration did not happen in an instant. Lin Yu relied on his ability to see, hear, and dominate, and could clearly detect the abnormal air flow in the air. With the help of Jian Wensei Bachi, Lin Yu did not fall into the T-Dolphin's several air bomb traps. Seeing Lin Yu approaching quickly in a Z shape, the T-Dolphin opened its arms. Wall of bombs. Bang bang bang. A series of explosions sounded along Lin Yu's path. Lin Yu turned a blind eye to this series of explosions. He stamped his foot violently. The figure flickered and turned into an afterimage. Rushed towards the T-Dolphin. He clenched his fists. One punch. Snort. The T-Dolphin snorted without fear. The air rolled up the earth and rocks and turned into a fist, which was larger than Lin Yu's body, and the momentum was terrifying. Boom. The attacking fists of both sides collided. The giant fist of earth and stone was exploded by Lin Yu's blow. Lin Yu's speed did not slow down. A cold light flashed in the T-Dolphin's eyes. He raised his fist and faced him. Boom. The T-Dolphin was shot away. Your physical body is very strong. No wonder you can defeat Lucci. In terms of physical strength alone, I am no match for you, but I can control the wind. The T-Dolphin floated in the air and punched Lin Yu, but was not hurt at all. Lin Yu glanced at the T-Dolphin and narrowed his eyes. Apart from Akainu, this is the first person he has encountered with such a powerful devil fruit. Being able to control wind is a very difficult ability. As Cha Do finished speaking, the air around him seemed to be gathering towards him. Empty wall. Lin Yu could clearly feel that with the T-Dolphin as the center, the air was gathering towards him. Call out. Naturally, Lin Yu would not give the opponent a chance to unleash his abilities unscrupulously. Instead, the moment the opponent used this move, he kicked off his feet, brought up several afterimages, and rushed straight away. Facing the rushing Lin Yu, T-Dolphin snorted coldly and raised his arms high. A high-density air flow instantly began to spin wildly around his body. The high-speed rotating air flow brought up countless earth and rocks. It was like a tornado rising into the sky. Wind shield. Wind shield. Boom boom boom. Lin Yu's whole body was swept up by the T-Dolphin's tornado. But he was not swept up. Instead, his whole body was covered with armed domineering energy, and he rushed out of the space and punched the T-Dolphin. T-Dolphin's face suddenly darkened. This short battle had already allowed him to see how powerful Lin Yu was. His physical body is extraordinary. His physical skills are also very strong. It is almost impossible to lock him with almost any move. Some tricks can be locked, but the effect is not obvious when used. Even if he had the Fengfang fruit, it would not be easy to defeat Lin Yu. Only, as a user with the wind fruit ability, his ability to control airflow is his advantage. With this ability, he can always keep a distance from Lin Yu. Even if he can only fight with physical strength in the end, he doesn't think he will lose to an ordinary person. After all, he is a devil fruit user. After all, the consumption of exerting his abilities is definitely much less than that of Lin Yu. When he is exhausted, he will reap the rewards. Facing Lin Yu's blow, T-Dolphin clasped his hands together and pointed at Lin Yu. Air cannon. Boom. There was a huge explosion. But Lin Yu ignored the T-Dolphin's attack, but punched the T-Dolphin hard. Relying on the powerful physique gained from the previous battle with Lucci and others, he was covered with armed domineering energy and rushed out of the explosive air wave. The T-Dolphin was shocked. Most people would not dare to take this blow forcefully. This is an impact force that compresses air to the extreme. It can break even steel, let alone flesh and blood. However, Lin Yu faced it with bare hands. And it was intact. Such a powerful physique really shocked the T-Dolphin. He even doubted whether Lin Yu had any special fruit abilities, such as Iron Man or something. However, judging from Lin Yu's appearance, it seems that he is not afraid of the sea water. Obviously, his physical body has indeed reached this level. The T-Dolphin was shocked. It was too late to dodge, so he could only clench his fist and punch out. As Marine's candidate for general, even if he doesn't use devil fruit, he is still one of the best among Marine's lieutenant generals. Boom! Lin Yu broke through the many air walls and hit the T-Dolphin's fist head-on. Even though they are both armed and domineering strongmen, the T-Dolphin's domineering intensity is much higher than that of Lin Yu, but under Lin Yu's punch, the T-Dolphin still suffers severe pain from the tiger's mouth, the bones are generally torn, and all 5 fingers are injured. Numb. Such a strong physical fitness, so heaven-defying. I don't know how many times Chado has said the same thing. Although he thought he had overestimated Lin Yu's strength before this, at this moment, he had to admit it. This Lin Yu is more powerful than he imagined. At least, without using the devil fruit ability, the T-Dolphin will definitely not be able to defeat Lin Yu with its physical strength alone. There is a world of difference in physique between the two sides, and even if he is more domineering and armed, he cannot make up for the gap. A dignified look flashed in the T-Dolphin's eyes. Judging from the previous information, this Lin Yu was not so powerful a few months ago. When he fought against Ghost Spider before, according to reports from Marine survivors, Lin Yu was obviously at a disadvantage at the beginning. If Lin Yu had the strength now, he would probably be able to kill the Ghost Spider with one punch. There is no way he would be at a disadvantage. In other words, Lin Yu has become so strong during this period of time. What a terrifying growth rate this is. The T-Dolphin shuddered. He narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at Lin Yu. No matter what, I will kill him. Otherwise, after a while, the T-Dolphin will worry that he has no chance of winning at all, unless Akainu takes action. The T-Dolphin slowly takes off into the sky. After confirming that he was no match for Lin Yu in melee combat, Chado decisively gave up the melee combat. This time, he was going to use his fruit power to kill Lin Yu directly. Several tornadoes shot straight into the sky. Dust was flying, circling and dancing around Lin Yu. Lin Yu's sight was blocked. He narrowed his eyes and carefully observed his opponent's movements. Is your wind this strong? It can't hurt me at all. Lieutenant General T-Dolphin. Lin Yu's voice sounded. The opponent is constantly rising into the sky. However, Lin Yu had no intention of charging. He did not intend to fight the T-Dolphins in the air. In the sky, Fangfang fruit occupies a great advantage, there is no doubt about this. It was just a warm-up. Now, it's time to get serious. T-Dolphin's face was solemn, and he was no longer as relaxed as before. Lin Yu's muscles tensed up and he stared at the T-Dolphin. At this time, there were dark clouds in the sky. Is this what you want? Lin Yu was startled. Soon, a thick layer of dark clouds covered the entire sky. Wind, clouds, thunder and lightning. The T-Dolphin roared in midair. The clouds collide with each other under the control of the wind. Bang! Hundreds of lightnings fell from the sky, covering the entire area where Lin Yu was. The originally sunny and sunny water capital suddenly became covered with dark clouds and heavy rain poured down. Bang bang bang. In the back streets, thunder, bolts of lightning struck down. The power of heaven and earth is unstoppable. Why is it so dark? Huang Quan Lin Yu is fighting with someone. Is this something humans can do? Many people looked at the lightning strike area and the streaks of lightning falling like raindrops, and their hearts were filled with awe. The T-Dolphin's solemn gaze relaxed slightly. Under this kind of lightning attack, Lin Yu had no chance of surviving. Soon, the dark clouds dispersed and the wind stopped. Use the airflow in the air to control the collision of clouds and create a lightning thunderstorm. Even the T-Dolphin is panting. This is also a great consumption for him. The world has returned to peace. On the ground, Lin Yu disappeared. There shouldn't even be any bones left, right? T-Dolphin secretly speculated. He was confident that even the general couldn't stop this attack. Crackling. At this moment, in the silence, a voice suddenly sounded. The earth splits open. Under the ugly eyes of the T-Dolphin, Lin Yu crawled out of the soil in embarrassment. Maid, I almost got caught. Lin Yu spit out the dirt in his mouth. He also didn't expect that this T-Dolphin could develop Fangfang fruit to this extent. Use airflow to gather dark clouds and create artificial thunder and lightning. His thunder and lightning power is not on the same level as the one Enel used on the empty island. It is completely different. This is real lightning. The voltage reaches hundreds of thousands of volts. With such power, even a physically strong person like Lin Yu would not dare to resist the thunder. Fortunately, Lin Yu reacted the moment he saw the dark clouds gathering. He immediately dug up the ground with his hands and got into the ground. Although soil can also conduct electricity, the power of lightning is not great because of the barrier of soil. The ground can dissipate the power of lightning, just like the lightning rod on the earth in the previous life. Even so, Lin Yu's condition at this time was quite bad. The most conspicuous thing is the hair. Lin Yu's hair exploded with electricity in an instant. The black hair is slightly curly and stands up. The afro-headed Lin Yu glared at the T-dolphin fiercely. The face of the T-dolphin is also ugly. Don't look at Lin Yu's current state of embarrassment, but that's just the appearance. His unique skill did not cause any substantial harm to Lin Yu. This was completely unexpected. The so-called wrong step after step, this one mistake will lead to the next mistake. Executing such a big move consumes a lot of his physical strength. In other words, the T-dolphin was no longer able to launch a fatal blow to Lin Yu. In this way, the outcome of this battle is completely out of his control. Vacuum cage. The T-dolphin looked solemn and used all his strength to activate the Fengfeng fruit. Lin Yu was surrounded by 4 cages in a circle. At the same time, the surrounding air was quickly drained. Without air, it is a vacuum. So, what happens in a vacuum? At least it's bad. However, the T-dolphin's attack has just been launched. Lin Yu suddenly jumped up. Break out of the vacuum cage formed by the air. Wind shield. The wind suddenly rises. Hurricane roars. A strong wind rushed towards Lin Yu. Shocking air blast. Bang bang bang. Loud noises exploded from beside Lin Yu. Air out. Even though the armed domineering energy enveloped his whole body, Lin Yu felt that there seemed to be a flow of air slowly condensing in his lungs. This T-dolphin can actually control the gases in the lungs of the human body. Once these gases explode in the body, the results can be imagined. Armed and domineering. Lin Yu's domineering spirit is also very powerful. At this moment, his whole body was enveloped by a domineering aura from the inside out. Only the armed color can withstand the power of the devil fruit. Lin Yu secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, he had never relaxed in the practice of armed domineering. With the defensive power of the armed color, even with the ability of the T-dolphin, it is very difficult to penetrate Lin Yu's body. It's over. Lin Yu stared at the T-dolphin intently. The opponent's ability is really too difficult to deal with. The T-dolphin moved its hands to influence the airflow. Return of life, boiling blood. Both sides are ready to go all out. Lin Yu stamped his foot suddenly. The body flew out like an arrow. Unstoppable, through the sandstorm. His right hand was covered with armed domineering force, and he swung it straight towards the T-dolphin's head. Boom, another loud noise. The two collided together. This time, the T-dolphin has no power to resist at all. With a click, his right arm was broken. And at this moment, he was ready to escape. Lin Yu grabbed his left hand. He was pulled back. Escape. It's too late. Lin Yu looked indifferent. He held the T-dolphin with one hand and punched the T-dolphin in the head with the other hand. The electric light and flint room. The T-dolphin hurriedly raised his left hand to block it in front of him. Click. Another fracture. Big bang. The T-dolphin roared angrily. Boom. The air between Lin Yu and Cha Do suddenly exploded. Even Lin Yu was knocked back a little. Taking this opportunity, the T-dolphin was directly carried into the air by a huge tornado. Puff. The T-dolphin spit out a mouthful of blood in midair. Big hurricane. The T-dolphin desperately used its abilities, but it was not used to attack Lin Yu, but used to escape. The T-dolphin was beaten so hard that it fled in panic. Akainu, I can't beat this guy, you can handle it. Between life and Momoshiki, the T-dolphin decisively chose the former. Lin Yu naturally would not let the T-dolphin go. He cast Moonwalk and chased after him in a flash. But the other party's wind and wind fruit is the best at escaping. The T-dolphin flew in the air at an extremely fast speed and disappeared from Lin Yu's sight in the blink of an eye. Holy Land Marie Joya. This is the world government headquarters. At the top of a magnificent building, in a spacious hall. The 5 people all looked solemn, sitting or standing. This is 5 elders. This is the highest power core of the world government. One of them glared angrily and slammed the table. Where did this Lin Yu come from? Now CP9 also. Everyone looked angry. With their status, they naturally heard about the Wangquan pirates. Before this, only Shichibukai or 4 emperors' matters would attract the attention of the 5 elders. This Huang Quan Lin Yu is a great threat. According to the data, he is only 17 years old. A man holding a long sword said in a deep voice. The expressions of others also became solemn. Age is sometimes a threat. Lin Yu is only 17 years old, and he has already made the world government so afraid. If it takes a few more years, will it be enough? This Wangquan pirates must be dealt with as soon as possible. He is too dangerous. If he is allowed to grow up, the consequences will be disastrous. The City of Water. Lin Yu was a little annoyed when he saw the dolphin disappearing from his eyes very quickly. This time I let the other party escape. If I try to deal with him next time, I'll be in trouble. Lin Yu, are you injured? Chow Ili Bani is still the same cute little loli. Maybe it was because he became closer to Lin Yu after he transformed into a little Lolita. Lin Yu looked back. PFF'd. Bonnie burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. You, ha ha ha, your appearance, ha ha ha. Lin Yu had messy hair and black lines on his face. Are you still laughing? Lin Yu quickly took her hand. He held the little loli in his arms and touched her chubby face with both hands before letting go. Ah, super. A loud roar came. At some point, Franky came over. Looking at Lin Yu's afro, his eyes lit up and he shouted excitedly. Captain, General French also needs a hairstyle like this. Franky put his hands on his hips, not feeling that he had ruined the atmosphere at all. Snort. Bonnie broke away from Lin Yu's hand and snorted angrily. As to whether it was because of Lin Yu or Franky, it is unknown. Lin Yu touched his hair and felt it was still a little prickly. It seems that he has to find a mirror to look at himself. Franky immediately understood Lin Yu's intention. General Franky, mirror reflection. As soon as Franky turned around, a mirror suddenly appeared on his back. This transformer's body is like a treasure chest, with everything you need. Only then did Lin Yu see the scene in front of him clearly. He rubbed his ridiculous afro and raised his eyebrows. No wonder Bonnie smiled like that when he saw him like this. He even wanted to laugh a little bit. Lin Yu scratched his head. But at this moment, Franky suddenly turned around, startling Lin Yu. Super. Franky also got an afro and danced the Franky dance excitedly. Lin Yu had a dark look on his face. A sigh. This guy Franky's brain circuit is really abnormal. As long as you are a normal person, you will not wander around in just a pair of underwear. Lin Yu thought of the previous scene where this guy called him a pervert, and this guy actually said he had no clothes on. I'm still wearing shorts. Lin Yu turned around and glanced at the sea. Fortunately, the branches of the Atom tree were not damaged in any way. He jumped into the sea, picked up Atom, the precious tree, and walked towards Flack. Treasure tree Atom. Franky looked at Lin Yu with a trace of surprise in his eyes. With such a large piece, not only the keel, but also the ribs of the ship's hull can be made of this material. Lin Yu nodded. He knew Franky's accomplishments in shipbuilding. Lin Yu waved his hand and said, I don't understand this aspect. Anyway, I'll leave the ship to you. He looked at the sea and saw that his original broken ship had been sunk by marine. He jumped into the sea, approached the sunken ship, then walked into his cabin, took out the box of money, returned to the shore, and handed the money to Franky. The cash here is about 100 million. If you need other materials, you can buy them directly. Lin Yu explained. Franky nodded. Since he had agreed, Franky would not regret it. Lin Yu still believes in Franky's character. Even if he is a pervert running around wearing only a pair of underwear, it should be because perverts have their own perverted ways. But when it comes to boat building, Franky is a real connoisseur. Don't worry, I said I wanted to build you a ship, and I will definitely build you the best ship. Moreover, this ship was made by Baoshu Atom. Its hull is very strong, and it can survive in any sea area. Nothing can stop it from sailing. Franky said confidently. At this moment, Bonnie walked up to Lin Yu and asked. What about CP9? How to deal with it? Lin Yu was thoughtful. He admired Lucci very much. With strong physical fitness, if you can understand domineering, you will definitely be a super strong person. Moreover, he can continue to improve his strength. In 2 years' time, Lucci will become the commander of CP0. If you don't have any skills, how can you become the chief spy under the Tianlong people? Bonnie also saw Lin Yu's thoughts, but she was not optimistic about whether Lin Yu could succeed. They are members of CP9, the most trusted hawks of the world government. It seems impossible for them to become pirates. Lin Yu did not speak or deny. Just give it a try, and if they don't want to, that's okay. Lin Yu said nonchalantly. The City of Water. The original city hall has been reduced to ruins. Lucci was still unconscious, and Kaku and others were seriously injured and could not move. Khalifa's injury was less serious. She looked at Lucci's condition, then at the others, and then at the dark clouds gradually dispersing in the sky, with a look of worry on her face. Who wins and who loses? Kaku's voice sounded. From the process of fighting, they had already guessed the identity of the other party. This is the general candidate, the T-Dolphin. Although CP9 and Marine are not in the same system, the appearance of this T-Dolphin gave them a chance to breathe. If this mission fails, their CP9 will face disaster. Because CP9 is a secret intelligence organization of the government, once their identity is exposed, they will not be recognized by the world government and will be obliterated by the world government. Therefore, everyone in CP9 places their hopes on T-Dolphin. If the T-Dolphins can defeat Lin Yu, then everything is easy to say. They can definitely kill Lin Yu, as well as all the civil organizations and everyone who know their identities. But if the T-Dolphin fails, they may not escape death. Even if Lin Yu lets them live, it is impossible for the government to let them live. Spangdam, the leader of CP9, is a complete waste, a hypocrite, and a real villain. Kaku and the others knew this very well. Once the action fails, that guy will definitely add fuel to the fire and put all the blame on them. What's more, they know too much. Once they fail, the world government will not be able to tolerate them. People in CP9 are not fools. Just as everyone was anxiously waiting for their fate to be judged, a figure walked out of the street. This scene shocked everyone in CP9. Lin Yu looked in the direction of CP9 with a calm expression. Several people walked over slowly. Behind him, Bonnie was holding a baby in one hand. Both babies were crying loudly. With every step someone with CP9 takes, their heart beats faster. Khalifa, the only one who was not seriously injured, stood up and took a defensive posture. In the previous battle, Lin Yu defeated Lucci, then fought with the T-Dolphin, and now he appears here again, which means that even the T-Dolphin can't do anything to him. A feeling of helplessness came over Khalifa. Lin Yu was not tall, but when he walked over, he gave people a depressing feeling. Khalifa, get out of the way. Lucci has woken up. Due to his strong physical fitness, even when he was seriously injured, he was only in a brief coma, and did not faint to death like ordinary people. Lucci climbed up from the ground with difficulty. Are you here to mock my defeated general? He limped to Lin Yu and looked at Lin Yu with an indifferent expression. Lin Yu stared at Lucci. If Lucci learned domineering, it would be a powerful fighting force. Lin Yu's goal was very clear, which was to let Lucci join his pirate group. He is currently the only one in the underworld pirates who can excel in combat, and Bonnie is not good at combat. Lucci is obviously a ruthless character, and he must be a capable thug under his command. As for the other members of CP9, they are all spies. As spies, they are the best at collecting intelligence, and they are absolutely competent when they are hired to help with intelligence work. No, I came here just to give you a chance to choose. 1. Do something for me, and 2. Die here. Lin Yu said lightly. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Kaku, Khalifa and others were stunned, and they all gritted their teeth. Joke. Why are we doing this? Let's go with the pirates. Isn't this a joke? Choose for yourselves. Lin Yu stood there, without even looking at them, and said calmly, I want to remind you that you are no longer the CP9 under the government. Once your identity is exposed, you will become a thorn in the side of the government, for sure. I will kill you as soon as possible. After Lin Yu finished speaking, Khalifa and Kaku fell silent at the same time. Indeed, they also thought of what Lin Yu said. Once their identity is exposed, they will only die. Everyone in CP9 was silent, and everyone's eyes fell on Lucci. As the strongest person in CP9, his choice is the key. Now, you can make your own choice. Lin Yu winked at Bonnie and signaled. Bonnie threw the baby in his hand, and in midair, the two babies grew up quickly. Otanashi, Ikatori, two CP9 members fell to the ground, completely unaware of what happened. But when they saw Lucci's injury, they realized how serious the situation was. I will not do anything for pirates, nor will I do anything for enemies. Lucci spoke calmly. I heard someone say that your belief is that weakness is the original sin. There was a hint of sarcasm at the corner of Lin Yu's mouth. However, you have to obey the orders of a man who can't even defeat an ordinary soldier. Isn't it ridiculous that a weak and pitiful man should be your boss and hold your fate in his hands? Matter. Weakness is the original sin, and the strong is respected. If one day, your strength exceeds that of the world government, then you are the embodiment of justice, and I am willing to serve you. Lucci said lightly, and at the same time his body suddenly expanded. Although it was a bit difficult, I still successfully transformed into the panther form. Of all the people I have ever met, you are the first, qualified opponent. Lin Yu looked at Lucci, with a flash of regret and a bit of sadness in his eyes. To be honest, he really wanted to win over Lucci. The other members of CP9 are nothing. But Lucci's potential and means far exceeded them. In the original work, he was defeated by the Straw Hat Pirates and was hunted by the government, but he turned the tide and became the commander of CP0. He was even on par with Sabo, the person with the burning fruit ability, and no one could do anything to him. If such a person can become his subordinate, then the strength of the Wonkwon Pirates will definitely reach a higher level. That's such a pity. Lin Yu on the side continued. Lucci waved his hand. Lin Yu had no interest in killing those who had been defeated by him. I hope you survive Marine's pursuit. Wait a minute. At this moment, Lucci's voice suddenly sounded. You won't kill us. Aren't you worried about our revenge? Lin Yu turned around with a smile on his face and said, welcome to try again, but we may lose even more miserably than this time. Lin Yu's strong self-confidence made Kaku and others dare not look at him. Lucci looked ferocious. Being despised by Lin Yu is simply worse than death. I want to defeat you. I will definitely defeat you. Lucci thought silently in his heart. By the way, you have a friend, his name is Jabra. I beat him into the harbor a few hours ago. I don't know what's going on now, or whether he was drowned. Lin Yu turned around, said a word, and disappeared from the sight of the CP9 members together with Bonnie. At the same time, two members of CP9, Lion Odori and Otanashi Owl, also helped Lucci and others leave. Marine Headquarters, Warring States Headquarters. Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku frowned, and in front of him, in addition to Akainu Sakazuki, there were Kizaru and Aokiji. The alternate General Cha Do was also present. His arms were wrapped in plaster and his expression was extremely gloomy. His lifelong reputation was destroyed in Lin Yu's hands. After all, many people think that Lin Yu is a new pirate. How can he be so strong? In Marine, many uninformed people are saying privately that this alternate general is the son of a retired Marine boss and has inside information. This statement was also echoed by many uninformed Marines. This made his reputation in Marine suddenly drop to the bottom. But Marine's top management is well aware of the power of the T-Dolphin. He is not a second-generation figure, but relied on his own strength to become Marine Lieutenant General, and also has the title of General Candidate. Just the underworld pirates are already so powerful. What happened here? Now even Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku personally came forward to inquire about this matter. This is something I am responsible for, and the responsibility lies with me. Akainu said solemnly. In a sense, Akainu is a good leader. He will do whatever he is responsible for and never shirk his responsibilities. Of course, he is also very strict with himself, and the same is true for his subordinates. Akainu will not be lenient in anything that goes against justice. Just like during the war, he was already ready to kill Kebi. Now is not the time to discuss responsibility. Huang Quan Lin Yu swept South Blue, killed Lieutenant General Ghost Spider, overthrew CP9, and defeated the alternate General T-Dolphin. He was so unstoppable. How could such a dangerous guy suddenly appear? Such a person, how could the intelligence agency not know? What are they doing? Sengoku punched the table. Akainu frowned and said, according to the information we got, when this Lin Yu first appeared in South Blue, the Marine South Blue Branch was hunting down a pirate group called the Bloody Hands, and this Lin Yu was one of them. According to our guess, he should have killed the leader of the Bloody Hand pirates and thus founded the Underworld Pirates. This is the only thing we can check. Before this, it was really the same, as if such a person was born out of thin air. However, one thing is worth noting, that is, his growth rate is too fast. It's fast, it's terrifyingly fast. At the beginning, Major Marine was able to fight with him, but in just a few months, he had already defeated the Dolphin. The corners of Zhongguo's eyes twitched, and he was frightened when he heard this. What should we do? Do we in the Marine Corps need to send out generals to deal with a new pirate who has not been to the New World? What a joke. If anyone knows about this, the people in the New World will definitely be ready to take action. Sengoku punched the table. Akainu frowned. Kizaru frowned and retreated behind everyone. No, he was looking around absent-mindedly. Aokiji, on the other hand, looked out the window, as if it had nothing to do with him. The current situation is indeed quite difficult for Marine. According to Cha Do's speculation, dispatching 1 or 2 lieutenant generals will certainly not have any impact on Lin Yu. If Lin Yu dispatches 5 or 6 lieutenant generals, is it necessary to use Buster Call? In this way, the New World Marine will be separated, and the New World Marine's strength will inevitably be greatly reduced. No one knows what the 4 emperors will do. Most of the current Marines are stationed in the New World. Once a large number of Marines are transferred from the New World, many places will be empty. As for the general, Warring States glanced at the 3 people. It is unlikely that Akainu will be sent because he will be responsible for many of Marine's political affairs that year. Kizaru and Aokiji, one clocks into work and the other is a Buddha, they are both lazy people. If they are allowed to deal with political matters, Marine will probably be thrown into chaos. Kizaru looked at Warring States, his eyes seeming to say, "Don't ask me to do such a painful thing, unless you pay more." Lin Yu and the others have already entered the Grand Line. Kizaru doesn't want to spend several months running around to find such a small pirate group. He only needs to clock in and go to work every day, paddle around and touch the water. I still know how to fish. At this moment, Warring States looked at Qingzi. Qingzi often rides his bicycle around. Moreover, Sengoku also heard that this guy met someone from the Straw Hat Pirates not far from Alabasta, and among the Straw Hat Pirates, there was Nico Robin, a wanted criminal. And Aokiji just pretended not to see him and let them run away. This made Sengoku very unhappy, and looking at Aokiji's lazy look, he was also very angry. Kuzan, Warring States said in a deep voice. Qingzi, who was still wandering around the world, finally reacted. "Ah, Fleet Admiral, what's the matter?" Qingzi asked dully. Perhaps because of the frozen fruit, his personality is always slow when speaking and doing things. He is completely different from Akainu, and their philosophies are also completely different. Apart from Qingzi's lazy character, Warring States period was very satisfied with Qingzi. For Sengoku, Qingzi is the best candidate for the position of Marine Fleet Admiral, but Aokiji is indifferent to Marine's daily affairs and government affairs, and only likes to ride around on that old bicycle. He wouldn't even take a glance at a wanted criminal. It's time for Qingzi to do something. The underworld pirates will be left to you. Such villains and bandits must be caught. No matter life or death. Sengoku said sternly. After saying this, he always felt that something was missing. With a flash of inspiration, he added, "This is my order." If it weren't for that last sentence, Aokiji would probably still have an attitude of being indifferent to the matter. Yes, I'll go right away." Aokiji nodded. Lin Yu is in the water capital now, but I'm afraid he won't stay too long. According to his sailing route, the next destination should be the Sabayati Islands. You can follow Lin Yu's whereabouts along this route. Akainu stood up and looked at Qingzi. Qingzi simply ignored him, stood up, turned around and left. It is a well-known fact that the 2 generals are at odds with each other. Even some low-level officers in the Marine knew about this matter. Akainu also looked indifferent. Although he disliked Kuzan, he also knew that Kuzan was not weaker than him. If Kuzan was allowed to do this, the matter would be stable. Lin Yu would definitely not be Kuzan's opponent. Qingzi left the Marine headquarters and officially set off. Of course, the sea is so big that it is not easy to find Lin Yu. The Marine general believed in leisurely justice, so he declined the arrangement given to him by Marine headquarters, rode his bicycle alone, and hit the road. At this moment, Lin Yu didn't know that Marine headquarters had sent a general to deal with him, and he was still waiting boredly in the water capital for his ship to be completed. 3 days later, early morning. In a sea area not far from the water city, Lin Yu was holding a boulder weighing tens of thousands of kilograms and walking on the waves. With his strength improved so much, Lin Yu needs constant training to adapt, and he also needs to tap out the energy of the devil fruit. Lin Yu was still exercising, and the phone in his pocket rang. Chow Ili Bani told Lin Yu on the phone bug that the new pirate ship has been built. It's done, it's not easy. By the time Lin Yu threw the stone into the sea, he couldn't wait. After staying in the water city for so many days, Lin Yu is looking forward to ocean adventure more and more. Lin Yu quickly swam back to the shore. From the beach to the back streets. French houses, private dock. From far away, you can smell the fragrance of sawdust. Obviously, in order to complete a ship in the shortest possible time, all the shipbuilding waste was left on the periphery without any time to clean it up. Passing through the scrap pile, a sailing ship more than 40 meters long appeared in front of him. It was a large, dark ship with a slender and long hull, and the sides were not high. It can be seen from the appearance that this ship is mainly about speed. You're here. On the right side of the ship, Franky was holding a ruler and was taking final measurements. Seeing Lin Yu and Chow Ili Bani come in, Franky wiped the stained black sweat from his forehead and walked over quickly. Franky still has the same afro hair. Although Lin Yu has cut off all the previous afro hair, Franky still likes this hairstyle very much. In his words, this is the most handsome Lin Yu he has ever seen. Ever since Lin Yu knocked over Lucci with his fist, Franky has become a loyal fan of Lin Yu. The reason is very simple: this style of fighting, this is how real men fight. A man must be strong and brave. Franky raised his head and pointed at his built boat. Friendo Wind Falcon. As the designer and manufacturer of this ship, only he is qualified to give it a name. As he said that, he led Lin Yu to the side of the ship and said, I lowered the side of the ship a little, and then put a raised triangular sail on the bow so that it can withstand more wind. The hull as it is made of a kind of white iron oak that is harder than steel, and the keel and ribs are made of baoshu atom. This ship is so strong that it can sail anywhere on the sea, and in terms of speed, no other ship can match it. Franky pointed proudly at the stern of the ship, where there were 2 things similar to rocket launchers. If necessary, add some ice-cold coke to speed it up. Good. Lin Yu smiled. He has no interest in the ship's gunfire or anything like that. He just wants a strong, fast ship. Franky, if you put it this way, is this the fastest sailing ship in the world? You are indeed a student of the legendary shipbuilder. Franky waved his hand and said, this is a credit to the material. Using the branches of the treasure tree atom as the keel, we can build a hull that can withstand such a high-speed impact. Also, if it weren't for your more than 100 million Baileys, I simply can't buy so much tin oak to build the hull. Okay, it's almost done outside. After looking at the outside, everyone comes with me to take a look inside. Franky brought Lin Yu to the deck of the cabin. Because there are not many superstructures on this ship, the upper space of this ship is very empty. In addition, Franky also designed many mechanical parts on the sail rope. You only need 1 person to control the sail. You don't need too many people on the boat. This makes Franky quite proud. Ordinary ships require a large number of sailors and handymen to help raise the sails. Lin Yu was also ecstatic about this. In this way, there will be no need for so many handymen and soldiers on the ship, which will also free up more space on the ship. The area on this floor is enough to hold a banquet. Chow Ili Bani also looked satisfied. Then, several people entered the cabin. The middle cabin is a passenger cabin, where the crew lives. It is very large. In the middle is a large restaurant, filled with tables and chairs, like a bar. At the same time, there is a huge training room at the rear of the battleship. This training room is made of golden oak, which is stronger than iron oak, and a special kind of steel is added to it to withstand greater pressure. The bottom floor is an ordinary warehouse used to store various items. There are not many naval guns on the ship. There is only 1 huge cannon at the bow, 2 at the stern, and 5 on each side of the ship. However, Lin Yu is not good at using artillery, so this is of little use to him. It will probably be just a decoration in the future. After the three of them looked at the entire ship, they returned to the deck. Very good, Franky. Lin Yu was very satisfied. Then he looked at Franky with a serious look on his face. Such a good ship would be wasted if it didn't have a skilled craftsman. You built this ship. Do you want to follow it and travel around the world? Franky, do you want to come on my boat and set off with me? Franky was stunned. He looked at the ship and then at the sea, feeling a little confused for a moment. Once upon a time, he also had a dream, that is, to build a big ship of his dreams and sail the big ship to travel around the world. But now, he has buried this dream deep in his heart. He likes the water city and wants to protect it. I said, I will protect this place. After a long while, Franky reluctantly refused. But when he looked back at the sea, his eyes were still full of yearning. In this world, every man longs for the vastness of the sea and longs for a ship to sail around the world. Lin Yu smiled mysteriously and said nothing more. At the port, Lin Yu moved the food and fresh water bought from the water city one by one to the Wind Falcon. Are you leaving? On the deck, Bonnie asked, looking at the coastline. Bonnie and Lin Yu are the only two people on board now. Because Lin Yu didn't need any handymen to help him sail the ship, the machines on the ship were all very advanced. Such a 40-meter-long ship can be operated by Lin Yu alone. Lin Yu moved the last pile of dry food into the cabin, walked out of the cabin, and looked at the sea with a mysterious smile on his face. Wait a moment. Chow Ellie Bonnie looked at Lin Yu with a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Are you waiting for someone? At this time, Bonnie saw Franky's man named Cope on the shore, running forward desperately. And what he was holding in his hand was a pair of red underwear. Behind him, a naked Franky was running naked and chasing after him. Give me back my pants. You beast. Franky jumped up suddenly and grabbed Cope. Cope, on the other hand, jerked his underwear while Franky was catching up. Thank you. Stop it, you fool, you beast. After finally catching Kepu, he found that his underwear was in Zanbai's hands again. Zanbai picked up his underwear and ran away. Boss Franky, this is impossible. You can wait until you catch up with me. However, his speed is still not as fast as Franky, but before Franky can catch up, Zanbai has already thrown his underwear to Eggman. Danzi was so fat that he was overtaken by Franky when he was only 10 meters away. Fortunately, at the last moment, he threw his underwear to Shoujo. With the concerted efforts of several people under Franky, the underwear was finally delivered to the port. The Cube sisters were the last to appear. They threw their underwear on the Wind Falcon, crying and shouting, Boss Franky, go chase your dreams. His pants were blown by the wind and floated directly to the deck. As for Franky, he stood naked on the shore without any shame. He turned around and looked at his subordinates. You fools, beasts, how could I leave everything and run to the sea? Woo! A group of people hugged each other and burst into tears. This scene gave Lin Yu on the boat goosebumps all over his body. The main thing is that this guy Franky actually has his butt facing the sea. What does this mean? He is indeed a pervert. The girls at the port of the water city covered their eyes and shouted, pervert, pervert, and exhibitionist. Chow Ili Bonnie looked disgusted. Don't you think this is a lunatic? Do you really want him to get on the ship? He is too unreliable. Lin Yu spread his hands and looked helpless. He is the only one I can find now. He is the best boatman I have ever seen. If the boat breaks down, I won't be able to repair it. After hearing this, Chow Eli Bonnie could only pinch her nose and never expressed any dissatisfaction with Franky. In fact, Lin Yu still hopes that Franky can get on the boat, otherwise he will have to find another boatman who can repair the boat. Not to mention time-consuming and labor-intensive, he may not be as professional as Franky. As for the Straw Hat Pirates, what will they do without Franky? Lin Yu has never considered this issue at all. Apart from knowing something about Luffy and others in the original work, Lin Yu has never met them in person. From this point of view, Lin Yu and Luffy are complete strangers. Who would think about a stranger? Besides, even if Franky gets on Luffy's ship, that's a thing for another time. Lin Yu had already invited Franky on board the ship before Luffy, so he could strike first. As for what kind of boatman Luffy wants to find in the future, that's not something Lin Yu should consider. Sure. Iceberg Ace Bagu walked up to Franky. Fram. Ace Bagu said softly, you have to leave here. Your identity has been exposed. I'm worried that the government will send people to hunt you down. You fool, you are here, how do you expect me to leave with peace of mind? Aren't I worried about you? Franky raised his head and said loudly. Ace Bagu roared angrily, who do you think you are? I still need a young boy like you to worry about. Franky was stunned and looked at his senior brother Ace Bagu, who was already in tears. Do I need you to worry about me? You stupid boy. Ace Bagu looked at his junior brother with tears streaming down his face. Over the years, the combined words of the two senior brothers are not as much as what they say today. Franky on the other side also bit his lip, trying not to cry. He glanced at Ace Bagu, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he couldn't. On the boat, Chow Elibani leaned on Lin Yu's shoulder and cried bitterly. So touching. Tears welled up like a fountain, soaking into Lin Yu's chest. Lin Yu had no choice but to hold the little girl in his arms and watch the situation on the shore from a distance. The Cubs sisters also started crying. Copper picked up Franky and stared at him for a long time before pushing Franky to the beach. Go away, it's time to go away. Go to the sea, that's your dream. Go away. After saying this, Ace turned around and left with tears streaming down his face, leaving only a back to Franky. Senior brother, help me take good care of them. Franky shouted at his back. Copper paused, his body trembled a little, and he slowly raised his hand and waved it. Senior brother, Ace Bagu secretly thought, it's been a long time since this kid stopped calling me that, this fool. He understood Franky's concerns. He is worried about his men. The Diamond sisters and the others also had tears in their eyes. We don't need to take care of you. We are Franky's people, Super Franky's men. Everyone looked at their boss and burst into tears. Franky walked up and down and kept looking back. He finally reached the Wind Falcon with one step at a time. Franky, welcome. Lin Yu patted Franky on the shoulder and said. After saying that, he handed over his pants. You know, Franky is an android. I used to wear a pair of underpants, but today I ran naked. It was really eye-catching. Not long after, the Wind Falcon pulled up the anchor, and the sails dropped, bulging in the wind. The ship broke through the waves and gradually left the harbor. Next is a new adventure. 3 days have passed since Lin Yu and others left the water capital. Marine General Aokiji arrives at the water capital on a bicycle. He first went to the place where CP9 fought with Lin Yu. The place had been cleaned up, but because the surrounding buildings were completely destroyed, the mayor of the water city had been busy making compensation and dealing with the aftermath. At the same time, Aokiji also received news from the local marine garrison that the Wonkwon pirates had been setting off for 3 days. Oops, ouch, I'm late. Qingzi touched his head and said he was late, but his face looked nonchalant. Paradise is also in the first half of the Grand Line. The Wind Falcon breaks out of the wind. This time, Lin Yu was more unlucky. Just when they had just set out to sea, a storm came. The wind was howling, the sails were completely out of control, and the ship's direction could only be left to fate. After a day and night of violent storms, the Wind Falcon was blown to an unknown place. When the storm subsided, Franky picked up the compass and determined his position. But Lin Yu jumped suddenly and jumped out of the deck. Lanjiao. A huge slash cut through the waves on the sea, splitting a huge Poseidon in two. Macho Lin, super. On the deck, Franky looked at Lin Yu with eyes full of admiration. In addition to running around in underwear, this guy also has a hobby, which is to give people nicknames and call acquaintances by fancy names all day long. For example, Luffy was given a straw hat, Zoro was given a belly band, Sanji was given a curly eyebrow, Usopp was given a long nose, Nami was given a little girl, and Chopper was called dear orangutan, Brook was called skeleton by him. Now, he calls Chow Elibani big stomach girl, and Lin Yu macho Lin. Lin Yu walked to the deck with a bit of regret. There are so many Poseidons here that we may be approaching the windless zone, Bonnie warned. On both sides of the Great Sea Route, there is the windless zone, an area with no wind, which cannot be passed by sailboats at all. According to the position I measured just now, we were almost blown into the windless zone. Among the only 3 members of the Netherworld Pirates, the person who knows the most about the ocean is actually Franky, the boatman. Neither Lin Yu nor Bonnie know anything about navigation. Although Franky is not good at sailing, as a shipwright, Franky still has a certain understanding of the basic knowledge of sailing. Anyway, he is better than some 2 neurotic people. It took him a lot of effort to calculate the approximate location of the ship. Because it is close to the windless zone, the magnetism of the recording pointer has also weakened, and the pointer is no longer so stable and has become shaky. First, we have to get back on the right track. As Franky spoke, he controlled the sail so that the sail would change direction under the constant blowing of the sea breeze. The ocean is dangerous, so a good navigator is necessary, but where to find one now? Lin Yu had a headache. The only thing to blame is that I didn't read the original work carefully, because I didn't know where so many powerful navigators were hidden. Soon, Lin Yu put aside all his worries. He dragged the piece of Poseidon flesh that he cut in half from the sea to the ship. Lin Yu announced, "We are going to have barbecue today." "Super." Bonnie gritted his teeth and said, "I'm going to eat more than you this time." On the other side, Lin Yu looked at the Poseidon with a look of regret in his eyes. "It's a pity. I defeated the Poseidon class, but there is no attribute bonus. If the system can quantify Poseidon's attributes and add them to him, he will definitely become the strongest person in the world in one day. Just by walking along this road, he can kill many Poseidons every day in places like the Windless Zone and the junction of the Grand Line. You know, the strength of the Poseidon class far exceeds that of humans. But even so, Lin Yu's current strength is not the same as before." Host, Lin Yu. Strength LV3 9326.5. Agility LV3 9741.3. Endurance LV3 9231.9. Physique LV3 9220.2. Free attribute points 1000. Skill, fighting skill LV3 72%. Shaving LV3 38.6%. Iron LV3 52.6%. Lanjiao LV3 67.4%. Moonwalk LV3 61.8%. Paper painting LV3 58.8%. Fingergun LV3 53.4%. Armed color domineering LV3 50.2%. Informed and domineering LV3 96%. 6 King's Spear Secret 6 King's Spear LV2 52.6%. Life Return Boiling Blood LV2 38.6%. After these days of training, Lin Yu's physical attributes have all exceeded 9,000. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.